Chapter 933. I wonder who is attacking the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain. Their methods are so tyrannical. This is one of the strongest resource secret realms occupied by the Ancestral Hall. Yes, it must be a ruthless person. At the peak of the 10th Chaotic Divine Mountain, the sword energy was vast and boundless. The world had already been completely covered by the sword radiance, but there was still a bloody radiance within. Many heads flew into the sky, indicating that this was going to be a bitter battle. They didn't know what had happened. In short, the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain was stained with blood. They seemed to see a supreme overlord washing the 10th Chaos Channel with blood. This was the Ancestral Hall's resource secret realm. Who would dare to start a massacre here? After all, it was a Chaos Divine Mountain. But now, someone was washing it with blood. Was he going to kill all the creatures on the Chaos Divine Mountain? Do you think it could be? Someone recalled something, speaking these words that made everyone nearby shiver. This was quite possible, because right now, there was a vicious person in the 10th Primal Chaos Passage. If this ruthless person didn't leave, it was very likely that he would attack the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain by force. They felt that the possibility was very high. The sword light that filled the sky was resplendent and blazing, filled with the fluctuations of slaughtering gods. This was somewhat similar to the sword energy of the sky-cleaving sword. This made the onlookers tremble. They cried out in alarm, "Big news! Madman Su is attacking and wants to destroy the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain. This revenge is too fast." Good. Su Yen should have done this long ago. The Ancestral Hall occupied the Chaos Divine Mountain and didn't even allow outside cultivators to come close. Once they came close, they would be killed. I hate them to the core. Someone shouted angrily, "Madman Su is attacking with force. He will definitely be able to wash the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain with blood and kill them all." That's right. The Ancestral Hall is in trouble. Zhu Tian and the rest have left long ago. There are no experts on the Chaos Divine Mountain. They sent over 100 top experts to kill Su Yen, but they were all killed by Su Yen. You don't know at that time, but the mountain ranges were sunk. Madman Su is getting stronger and stronger. Now that Su Yen is attacking the Chaos Divine Mountain, it's definitely for revenge. Just wait and see. The Ancestral Hall is in trouble. They were very clear that when Su Yen was in seclusion at the God Burial Mountain, the number of experts in the Chaos Channel was very limited. Su Yen was strong enough to walk through the channels. No one could do anything to him. At the peak of the 10th Chaotic Divine Mountain, sword lights surged like a myriad of shooting stars descending from the sky, and they rippled with surging waves of air as they slashed apart the bodies of numerous Ancestral Hall cultivators. Blood rained down from the sky. Su Yen was like a blood-colored demon that had walked out of hell. He held the sky-cleaving sword and killed one person with each step. He was completely washing the peak of the Chaotic Divine Mountain with blood. Demon Hall of the Ancestral Hall. Even though the Ancestral Hall had suffered heavy losses because of Su Yen, and even half-step supreme experts had died at his hands, it was different this time. Su Yen took the initiative to attack the Ancestral Hall's precious resource Mystic Realm. This was the Primal Chaos Ruins, an era where young people contended for supremacy. However, Su Yen had slaughtered everyone and was about to destroy the 10th Primal Chaos Sacred Mountain. Those who were still alive were terrified and in despair. Some people even left behind regret. "Su Yen, just you wait. Lord Zhu Tian is about to arrive. If you do this, you will definitely die without a burial ground." I, Su Yen, am not afraid of the world's experts. If you want to kill me, then come. With a loud roar, the world trembled and the sun and moon lost their light. Su Yen stepped on the earth, filled with a monstrous aura. He could erupt with a peerless strength that could overturn rivers and seas. He bombarded the fleeing experts in front of him, destroying their bodies and souls. The sky was filled with sanguine light. Sword beams were everywhere. Su Yen rampaged through the peak of the Chaos Divine Mountain. As he spat out, the remnant Chaos Heavenly Essence energy in the world penetrated Su Yan's body. His treasure body was hazy with the primordial power of all things. As he breathed, his chest rumbled like the sea. He inhaled again and again, each breath more ferocious than the last. At the final juncture, Su Yan's might covered the sky. This breath caused the vast space to undulate as the remnant Chaos Heavenly Essence energy gathered. Devour! Su Yen raised his head and roared into the sky. His clothes fluttered, and his blood-stained hair scattered down. It was as though he had swallowed a primal chaos sun. The force of his spitting was astonishing. At the critical moment when it entered his body, Su Yan's treasure body became resplendent. His pores couldn't stop primal chaos essence from leaking out. Without a doubt, such a cultivation method was too extravagant. No one would waste chaos heavenly essence energy like this. However, Su Yen didn't have the time to cultivate here and slowly absorb and refine it. Now, he was using tyrannical means to devour large amounts of chaos heavenly essence energy and forcefully refining it with the primordial sutra. With every breath, Su Yan's aura became stronger. He was already injured to begin with. Now, under the nourishment of the massive amount of chaos heavenly essence energy, he recovered at a freakish speed. Even the vast great Tao divine powers in Su Yan's body were enhanced. After all, Su Yan was still a distance away from the ninth firmament. Now, under the nourishment of the massive amount of chaos heavenly essence energy, his aura increased greatly. It even showed signs of surging towards the ninth firmament. It won't be long. I'll take down a few more chaos divine mountains. There's hope for the ninth firmament. Su Yen laughed loudly. His voice shook the heavens and earth. Then, his cold eyes swept across the group of trembling servants. These were servants who were excavating resources for the ancestral hall. There were about 100 cultivators. Su Yan's devouring of energy and his soaring aura made them even more terrified. A large number of cultivators fell to their knees. Someone said in a trembling voice, "Lord Su Yen, I'm not from the ancestral hall. I was suppressed by them a year ago to excavate resources for the ancestral hall." "That's right, war god Su Yen. I'm not from the ancestral hall either. Lord Su Yen, please show mercy and let us go." They begged for mercy and revealed their origins. Their hearts were filled with fear. They were really worried that Su Yen would go crazy and kill them. The scene of Su Yen massacring the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain had truly frightened them. Su Yan's aura spread out, causing these people to tremble. He said indifferently, "Why aren't the people of the ancestral hall dead yet? What are you hiding in there for?" His voice was like thunder, causing the blood in these cultivators' bodies to churn. They couldn't help but tremble. They were really facing a great demon king. Their bodies were about to collapse at any time. However, under this peerless might, no one responded to him. Only endless silence was waiting for him. "Seems like you're all from the ancestral hall." At this moment, a strand of bone-piercing killing intent spread out. Su Yen waved the sky-cleaving sword. This killing sword could cut through the void with just a light wave. How could it not make people shiver? Everyone felt that their heads were about to fall to the ground. "He's from the ancestral hall." Someone suddenly climbed up and pointed at an old man in a luxurious robe. He said in a fierce voice, "He's also the steward of the ancestral hall. He's even the steward of Zhu Tian." "You!" This submissive old man immediately exploded in anger. He didn't expect that someone would point him out. One had to know this was related to Zhu Tian. Actually, Su Yen had long seen through it. This old fellow's strength, to be precise, should be at the ninth firmament celestial deity realm. Although he concealed his cultivation, he absolutely could not hide from Su Yan's powerful mind power. "That's right, it's this old thing. He usually dealt quite a few vicious blows to us. Motherf asterisk Kerr, you old fart, aren't you just Zhu Tian's lackey? What are you being cocky for? Why aren't you kneeling down and kowtowing when you see Lord Su Yen? More and more cultivators stood up and pointed at him, cursing angrily. And there were people who continued to point out other cultivators. There were men and women. Including this old thing, there were a total of 6 people. They were all servants by Zhu Tian's side. And this 9th firmament celestial deity old powerhouse was one of Zhu Tian's stewards. It could also be said that his position was high and powerful. After all, he was a popular person by Zhu Tian's side. Rumble. In that instant of light, the ancestral hall's steward's aura erupted fully. He was a 9th firmament celestial deity, mighty expert. His aura impacted until the void was riddled with holes. Furthermore, his body rapidly blurred, vanishing from where he was at an extremely fast speed, striding down the mountain. Bang! Su Yen raised his palm and threw a large slap over. Steward Zhu Tian, who had already fled several hundred miles, let out a miserable cry. The bones in his body all shattered, and he fell to the ground with a thud, falling out like a dog eating mud on the spot. This place was in chaos. The instant steward Zhu Tian fled, the remaining servants also fled in all directions. But there was no need for Su Yen to make a move at all. These servants, suppressed by the ancestral hall, took action one after another, capturing all of them alive and beating them up in group. These few days they had been humiliated by these people quite a bit. Their hearts had long been stifled with anger. Now, new grudges and old grudges were all released to vent, beating the 5 great servants until they cried for their parents, their limbs almost being torn apart. As for Su Yen, he appeared in front of Steward Zhu Tian, lowered his head and looked down at him, saying coldly, "You still want to take away my things?" Su Yen. Steward Zhu Tian's face was so malevolent that it was about to distort. He looked at Su Yen with venomous eyes and growled, "You've already caused great trouble. If you still dare to have designs on the Chaos Divine Mountain's resources, Lord Zhu Tian will definitely tear you into pieces." Ah! Su Yen exerted force with his foot, stomping on Steward Zhu Tian until he screamed miserably. So what if he was a 9th firmament celestial god expert? He couldn't even raise his head in front of Su Yen. He roared in despair, "Just you wait for death. Lord Zhu Tian is the future king of the universe. Just you wait for death." Su Yen couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He directly swung the heaven-cleaving sword and chopped off his head. At the same time, Su Yan's powerful primordial spirit fluctuation enveloped the remnant body. Soon, he found 3 interspatial rings. Inside were all kinds of harvests from the Chaos Divine Mountain. Although the previous ones were all sent back to the ancestral hall, the resources in these 3 interspatial rings were definitely not less than the total value of tens of thousands of kilograms of chaos treasure liquid. After doing all this, Su Yen disappeared. He was prepared to attack the 9th Chaos Divine Mountain. A group of trembling cultivators from various races took a deep breath. They didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly left the blood-stained Chaos Divine Mountain. In just a day's time, a piece of news spread out as if it had grown wings. It caused an uproar among the various races. Big news! Su Yen made a move and washed the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain in blood. He crippled all the cultivators in the Ancestral Hall's resource mystic realm and killed everyone. What? Su Yen washed the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain in blood? Is this true? He dares to do this? This matter caused a huge earthquake. This was a bloody event. A bloodbath on the Chaos Divine Mountain was something that had never happened before. But now, the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain was being washed in blood. Su Yan's crazy revenge made the experts of various races tremble in fear. It was said that revenge was a dish best served cold, but Su Yen didn't delay for a moment and directly made a move. This lunatic, he's a lunatic. When the light of the void mirror shone on the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain, the experts of the Ancestral Hall roared crazily. This was a great humiliation. Their Chaos Divine Mountain was being washed in blood by Su Yan. Chapter 934. Su Yan's tyrannical rupture had caused a huge uproar by massacring the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain. No one had expected that Su Yan would be so decisive and overbearing, directly bathing the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain in blood. After all, it was a resource land belonging to the Ancestral Hall. This time, Su Yan had taken the initiative to attack and annihilate the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain. Not a single person was left alive. This was a serious problem. Even Su Yan had swept away the Chaos Divine Mountain's resources. This news was shocking. Who would dare do such a thing in the past? After all, the Chaos Ruins were a place where the universe's fortunes converged. Now Su Yan had forcefully broken some kind of rule. In the future, there might really be people who would dare to imitate him. The 10th Chaos Divine Mountain has really been massacred. Not a single person is left alive. Su Yan is too unyielding. Back then, he had pierced through the 10 Chaos passageways and picked the resource lands in the periphery of the various races. At first, the peak races probably didn't care, but they never expected that Su Yan would have the guts to attack the Chaos Divine Mountain. Yes, revenge came too quickly. I guess the Ancestral Hall's heart is bleeding. I think the resources on the Chaos Divine Mountain are at least 5,000 kilograms of Chaos liquid. Not to mention tens of thousands of kilograms, even 5,000 kilograms of primal Chaos liquid was a huge amount of wealth. Not only did Su Yan annihilate everyone on the primal Chaos Divine Mountain, but he also swept away a large amount of resources and wealth. This made the ruler of the Ancestral Hall furious. Roar. There were people roaring in the outside world. The sky was torn apart as the Divine King's aura surged and suppressed the stars. The Divine King of the Ancestral Hall was so angry that his eyes were about to split open. Su Yan's actions were equivalent to humiliating the entire Ancestral Hall. A young man actually had the guts to do so and was even chased by the Ancestral Hall for such a long time. But now the tables had turned. Su Yan had become the hunter. Bastard. Faintly, a terrifying half-step expert's aura was awakening. The Ancestral Hall definitely had more than one Zhu Fu. There were bound to be other half-step experts. This matter infuriated all the quasi-giants. They said ruthlessly, "If we don't eliminate Su Yan, where will our race's dignity be? Tell Zhu Tian to return immediately and kill Su Yan." He has already returned. Zhu Tian should be on his way, but the journey is long. I'm afraid it will take him a few more days to return. Someone smiled wryly and said, "I hope Su Yan is still in the Primal Chaos Channel when the time comes. If he takes advantage of the situation and leaves, that would be terrible." The experts of the Ancestral Hall were incomparably embarrassed and furious, but they couldn't do anything to Su Yan. Must the strongest expert of the Ancestral Hall take action? I'm afraid Su Yan has already left. He knows how serious this is. After all, this concerns God Burial Mountain. An unrelated expert said, "There's a path from the chaotic Divine Mountain to the chaotic ruins. Due to the suppression of the universe mystic realm, it's impossible to use treasures to explore the world. This way, we won't be able to lock onto Su Yan's tracks." The experts of the Divine Firmament sect all had gloomy expressions. Once they lost control of Su Yan, there would be trouble. Who knew if he would attack the more important universe mystic realm? That was their lifeblood. If a universe mystic realm was breached, the problem would be quite serious. Of course, there were very few cultivators who knew the location of the universe mystic realm. Of course, even if Su Yan really went there, it would be extremely difficult for him to sweep through a universe mystic realm. That universe mystic realm contained the elites of their race. God Burial Mountain is more important. The people of the demon territory thought of this and were extremely anxious. Their goal was God Burial Mountain. It didn't matter if they lost some. As long as they could dig out the secrets of the Land of Despair, any price would be worth it. Don't you think that Su Yan will attack the other chaotic divine mountains? Suddenly, Luo Yuanjing of the Daluo dynasty said with a smile. His voice contained a strange magical power, causing the surrounding atmosphere to become extremely oppressive in a short period of time. The big shot's breathing was extremely heavy, especially the experts of the Divine Firmament sect. Their expressions changed drastically. Although King Flash and the sagely battle god had joined forces to occupy the 9th chaotic divine mountain back then, the sagely battle god had left previously. The current owner of the 9th chaotic divine mountain was the Divine Firmament sect. However, King Flash had been severely injured and had returned to the Divine Firmament sect. A large number of the Divine Firmament sect's elites had gathered on the 9th chaotic divine mountain. If Su Yan really attacked the 9th chaotic divine mountain, it would be a big problem. F***ck. Lei Zhenhe's face turned green. Did Su Yan really dare to go to the 9th chaotic divine mountain? But he even dared to provoke the ancestral hall, let alone the Divine Firmament sect. It won't be so fast. Someone frowned and said, even if Su Yan grew wings, he won't be able to fly to the 9th chaotic divine mountain. Haha, Su Yan is a master of mystical arts. It's easy for him to set up a realm-crossing array. Moreover, the Divine Firmament sect had a space array on the 9th chaotic divine mountain back then. It seems that Su Yan has used it before. This sentence made everyone in the Divine Firmament sect anxious. When Zhu Yuanqing took out the space-time mirror and shone it on the 9th chaotic divine mountain, all of their faces turned green. Pfft! Lei Zhenhe couldn't hold it in and directly spat out a mouthful of old blood. He let out a crazy roar. You bastards! The group of Divine Firmament sect experts' faces stiffened. They were so angry that their hearts and lungs were about to burst. Long ago, Lei Zhenhe had said not to provoke Su Yan anymore. He was a maleficent star. If they didn't kill him, he would definitely cause trouble again. In the end, they didn't listen and wanted to join forces with the Ancestral Hall to kill Su Yan to avenge their previous humiliation. Now great! In fact, the 9th chaotic divine mountain had already rippled out. Half a day ago, in the depths of the 9th chaotic divine mountain, all kinds of terrifying killing lights tore through the earth. Even the 9th chaotic divine mountain was shaken by the attack. Su Yan climbed the mountain domineeringly, pushing all the way from the foot of the mountain to the peak. Many people had witnessed it. An invincible king had gone against the heavens and swept through the 9th chaotic divine mountain. Relying on his own strength, he had forcefully bathed the 9th chaotic divine mountain in blood. Even now, no one could forget how domineering and powerful that terrifying Overlord was. In just half a day, Su Yan defeated everyone in the Divine Firmament sect, took away all the resources, and continued to attack the next target. Ah, Su Yan, Su Yan! The Divine Firmament sect's divine king couldn't help but roar. You shameless brat! You attacked the Divine Firmament sect's divine mountain while our young paragon was not around. You are too shameless and hateful. What kind of young overlord are you? Someone glanced at the person who spoke and shook his head with a smile. It was as if King Flash could suppress Su Yan when he returned. This lunatic has washed 2 chaotic divine mountains in succession. If he continues like this, is he going to wash the 10 chaotic divine mountains with blood? When the chaos ruins opened, he washed the periphery with blood. Now, he is going to wash the core region with blood. Many people had a headache. If this lunatic couldn't be killed, there would definitely be countless troubles in the future. For example, the Kuan family's young King Kuan had died, and there was no successor. Elder Yuanqing, quickly take a look at the 8th chaotic divine mountain and see if that lunatic Su Yan has also washed it with blood. Someone hurriedly reminded. The moment Zhu Yuanqing made his move, Luo Yuanjing sneered. The 8th chaotic sacred mountain is the territory of the great Luo dynasty. Su Yan is not so crazy as to attack the great Luo dynasty's chaotic sacred mountain. Although that was what he said, when Zhu Yuanqing shone his light over, the scene was really heart-wrenching. Some experts from the Ancestral Hall and the Divine Firmament sect clutched their hearts, feeling suffocated and uncomfortable. The 8th Chaotic Divine Mountain was intact, but their own Chaotic Divine Mountain was overflowing with blood and corpses. They had suffered heavy losses. Oh no! A Northern Demon expert was shocked. That meant that Su Yan's next target should be the 3rd Chaos Tunnel. He hurriedly sent his subordinates to inform the experts guarding the 3rd Chaos Tunnel. Be on guard against Su Yan. Don't be on guard. Su Yan is already here. When Zhu Yuanqing shone his spacetime mirror on the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain, their faces turned green. How could Su Yan be so fast? How did he do it? He had reached the greater success stage of shrinking Earth into an inch, and his mental strength was superb. Su Yan used the power of his primordial spirit alone to cover a radius of 100,000 miles to search for traces of the spacetime array. He had already found the spacetime array that led to the demon region. He directly controlled the spacetime array and crossed rivers and mountains. In less than half a day, he had already arrived at the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain. When he arrived, he exuded a murderous intent and even a bloody aura. On the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain, the experts from the various demon region who were in seclusion were trembling in fear. They felt that a great disaster was imminent. At the top of the sky, there seemed to be a heavenly eye looking down at them, making them panic and tremble. What's going on? Who's nearby? Come out quickly! All the living beings from the demon region had a headache, and fear appeared in their eyes. It was as if a great creature was looking down at the Chaotic Divine Mountain, making them shiver all over. A terrifying expert was lurking nearby. There was even a faintly discernible terrifying essence blood steaming like a furnace of heaven and earth. It made all the living beings within 10,000 miles panic, as if there was a large stone pressing down on their hearts. The sky is about to change. Among the mountains and valleys, the roars of beasts reverberated. It was as if they were emitting a sense of reverence towards the figure that was leaking out his aura. In the end, this aura suddenly became blazing, like an immortal furnace burning. This madman is here, he's here again. This familiar scene struck fear into the hearts of many living beings. Boom! There was also an earth-shattering explosion. Everyone saw clearly that it was a figure who stood up and stomped on the ground, causing the territory to collapse and earth to rise into the sky. That figure also rose from the ground and rushed towards the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain like an emperor star. Along the way, Su Yan's body stuck close to the Chaotic Divine Mountain as he rushed madly. Just the light of essence blood spurting out from his pores had already cut the bodies of many living beings from the demon region. Along the way, rivers of blood flowed, and groups of demons screamed as they died in despair. Finally, Su Yan rushed to the peak. He waved his hand, and he was like an emperor who controlled the universe. Millions of mountains lined up, and all kinds of suns, moons, and stars revolved around the mountain. Boom! A condensed ancient universe was blasted out. It was extremely heavy and suppressed the entire peak of the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain. Su Yan looked down at all the living beings on the 3rd Chaotic Divine Mountain. His hands were behind his back, and the surging aura of blood energy emitted a terrifying pressure. From the new year until now, I've had almost no time to write because I'm getting married the day after tomorrow. There are more things to do, and there are also many rules in my hometown. After the wedding, Azure Sky will make up for all the chapters that I haven't updated during this period. After I'm done, Azure Sky will make up for 20 chapters. Brothers, after I'm done, I'll get back to work as soon as possible. I still need a few days to finish, so please give me some time. Chapter 935. At the peak of the 3rd Chaos Divine Mountain, tens of thousands of demons were terrified. Many huge beasts began to tremble, and the entire mountain was filled with roars of fear. Actually, Before they could figure out who was attacking the peak of the Chaos Divine Mountain with such a domineering method, they were all trembling. They were all trembling. What exactly happened? Could it be that the Northern Yao provoked a supreme being in the primal chaos ruins? Su Yan stood between heaven and earth with his hands behind his back, looking down at the world. The sun, moon, river, and mountain painting was at the peak of the sky, spinning rapidly. At that moment, millions of mountains were about to fall, and the sun, moon, and stars in the sky were rumbling. The sound of thunder from the 9 heavens exploded in the ears of all living beings, making them feel as if their bodies were struck by lightning. What kind of ferocious might was this? How tyrannical! The third channel was shocked. How could something so ridiculous happen? Who was attacking the third Chaos Divine Mountain? Were they not afraid of the Northern Demon's revenge? Who are you? One of the Northern Demons stepped out. He had a human face and a snake body, and he said in fear, "Our Northern Demons went to the Chaos Ruins to fight. This is his territory." As soon as these words were spoken, Su Yan's sharp eyes widened. They vaguely transformed into 2 golden lightning bolts. His eyes were blazing. The moment they opened and closed, the golden lightning bolts danced between the heavens and the earth. In an instant, the body that had spoken was split apart. Roar! The demons roared, and their hearts were filled with fear. This person was not afraid of the Northern Demons at all. He must be an enemy of the Northern Demons. However, he was emitting killing intent. It was very difficult for anyone to recognize Su Yan's appearance. His divine eyes were like lightning, and his might could shock the sun and moon. Even the heavenly god realm creatures of the monster domain found it extremely difficult to look at Su Yan directly. Under his gaze, the group of monsters was about to walk towards destruction and death. Who are you? The strong cultivators of the North Monster tribe roared furiously. No matter what, they were still under the command of the North Monster tribe. They were going to become the leader of the North Monster tribe. They weren't afraid of the Forbidden Zones. They weren't afraid of any overlords. You broke the rules and attacked us. Aren't you afraid that the Yao clan will target your clan? Even if this person left the mountain right now, the Fiend Domain's face would be greatly damaged, and the Northern Fiends would also lose face. Ah! Su Yan faced the sky and roared with laughter. His voice was like thunder as it shook the heaven and earth. His might flourished even more as he bathed in the divine light of the 9 heavens. With the heaven-cleaving sword on his back, his laughter reverberated throughout the peak of the third chaotic divine mountain. For a time, the heavens and the earth shook. Su Yan's laughter contained the sound of thunder, and it revealed a ferocious and domineering force that shook many demon territory cultivators to the point of coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. Moreover, as Su Yan's laughter became louder and louder, it caused the mountain to roar. The golden ripples were endless. Just by relying on the powerful divine power of the great path in his body, the golden ripples that gushed out were like a mountain ridge pressing down on this place. Pooh! Groups of living beings from the Yao domain screamed miserably. Some of them even had their fleshly bodies torn apart. The third chaotic divine mountain was in complete chaos. Many demon territory cultivators were in despair. Just how powerful was this person? He was definitely a heavenly supreme, and he was invincible among those of his generation. You're bullying the weak. What kind of hero are you? A living being roared angrily. Our race also has a heavenly supreme, and there are also invincible living beings. If we fall in your hands, the Northern Fiends will not let you off. What? You sent people to kill me before. Why don't you recognize me now? Do you really think that I'm easy to bully? So what if the Northern Fiends are here? Do you think I'm afraid of them? Su Yan laughed loudly. His shoulder-length black hair danced in the wind, and his demonic aura was strong. The aura he exuded was rather cold and domineering. Since he had come, Su Yan did not intend to return empty-handed. You. The group of demons felt a headache coming on, and the ferocious beasts were trembling in fear. They had never expected that this person would be Su Yen. This was something they had never expected. Su Yen actually dared to attack the chaotic divine mountain and even rush to the peak. Dozens of living beings immediately turned and ran as far as they could. They knew very well that once Su Yen came, he would definitely massacre the chaotic divine mountain. There would definitely be a bloodbath at the peak of the chaotic divine mountain. At that time, none of them would be able to survive. Boom! Su Yen did not make a move at all. The sun, moon, river, and mountain painting that was pressing down here rumbled. The vast sky seemed to be on the verge of being pressed down. A terrifying mountain smashed down, killing a huge ferocious bird. There were also stars descending from the sky. In an instant they traversed thousands of miles. The impact waves that spread out from the light had already shattered the fleshly bodies of several demon territory cultivators who were fleeing. The demons were terrified and scared to death. Who could escape? With the sun, moon, rivers, and mountains painting here, who could escape? Su Yen. The old grandmaster of the Han family stooped his body. At this moment, he was so angry that his whole body was trembling. The sun, moon, river, and mountain painting was the embryonic form of the supreme treasure of the Han family. Now that it was shining in Su Yan's hands, who could bear this matter? Moreover, the sun, moon, river, and mountain painting was not a big deal. The key was that the Great Way painting was also taken away by Su Yen. That was the painstaking work of an 8th grade great-grandmaster. It was the most precious treasure of the Han family. If we don't kill this person, how can our family establish itself in the chaotic ruins? Where will our face be? The eyes of the old grandmaster of the Han family were filled with killing intent. However, Su Yen had been in the Chaos Channel all this time. The family could not do anything to Su Yen. If he left the Chaos Channel and went to the chaotic ruins, the result would be different. With the influence of the Han family, they would definitely be able to trap Su Yen and make it difficult for him to move an inch. Just wait and see. I will definitely kill you with my own hand. Su Yen, let's see how long you can live. The old grandmaster of the Han family was so angry that his lungs hurt. What the hell was this? The Han family was almost like a boy who gave out treasures. They had failed time and time again. They had lost too much face. The old grandmaster of the Han family did not believe that Su Yen could be so mighty for long. He was determined to teach Su Yen a lesson. That day would not be too far away. The experts of the demon region were also trembling in anger. Their livers hurt terribly. An expert scolded angrily, "This little bastard sneakily attacked the 3rd chaotic divine mountain while our young paragon was not around. Just wait and see, the North Demon is coming. He will be here very soon." In short, the Ancestral Hall, Demon Region, Divine Firmament Sect, and Han family were flustered and exasperated. It was too embarrassing and humiliating. In just a few days, Su Yen had swept through the various chaotic divine mountains, causing bloodshed after bloodshed. He had slaughtered all the resource lands of their clans. How could they endure this? How could they endure this? The experts of the Feng family and the other clans wanted to laugh, but they could not bring themselves to laugh. The bloody events that had happened in the past few days were too cruel. 2 chaotic divine mountains had been massacred by Su Yen. Now, the 3rd chaotic divine mountain was also in danger. However, the North Demon and the others had not arrived yet. Actually, Zhu Tian and the others had already rushed over with all their might. Their speed had exceeded the expectations of the various clans' experts. They were getting closer and closer to the Chaos Channel. Along the way, the young overlords released their auras. Their ferocious gazes overflowed the sky. One after another, terrifying figures with auras of 50,000 miles released heavenly divine power, causing the vast sky to tremble. Everywhere they passed, one chaotic territory after another. Because of their arrival, countless young geniuses trembled in fear. They really felt that the masters of their lives had arrived. Heavens, what is happening? Why are there so many young overlords appearing one after another? Could it be that a universe secret realm is about to open? A total of 10 terrifying auras caused the experts of the older generation to change their expressions. This was definitely a major event. Moreover, they were turning back and not going deeper. Their destination seemed to be the Chaos Channel. There was also a clan leader who let out a sigh. The world is vast and boundless. Naturally, there will be many outstanding individuals. However, over the years, how many young kings can there be? These existences are rampant under the heavens. They all possess the absolute combat strength of their generation. It's already very impressive for one to be unrivaled in an entire territory. A territory was generally referred to as 1,000,000 miles of territory. 1,000,000 miles of territory gave birth to countless geniuses. However, there would always be someone who would stand out and suppress the unrivaled younger generation of a territory. However, these young kings didn't just conquer a territory. They also suppressed the geniuses of a territory and made them follow by their side. They are the supreme beings of the younger generation, the overlords, the unrivaled kings. Now, they are traversing our territories without any fear. This is a symbol of strength. Who dares to block their path? The clan leader's voice resounded throughout the entire clan, causing the younger generation of the clan to fall silent. Just by hearing his name, that boundless heavenly might was already enough to suffocate them, let alone treating him as a goal to chase after. The reputation of the Northern Yao and the others was too shocking. They were known as unrivaled kings. In the future, it was only a matter of time before they became the divine king. They even had hopes of becoming almighty in the future. They would stand at the peak and look down on the world. This caused the cultivators of the same generation to feel despair. It was true that the higher one's cultivation level, the greater the gap between them. Not to mention now, more than 10 overlords of the same generation were traversing one territory after another in pursuit of a destination. Many people wanted to go and take a look, but they didn't dare. Even if they really went, what could they gain? It had to be said that some geniuses smiled bitterly. Living in the same era as these freaks was truly a tragedy. I don't know why they are going to the Chaos Channel. As far as I know, there is only one person in the Chaos Channel whose fate is unknown. He is at the peak of God Burial Mountain. Someone said with a trace of respect in his heart. Su Yen, also known as Madman Su, has unrivaled strength in his generation. This freak has appeared out of nowhere. The world has gained another young overlord. Now that the Northern Yao and the others had returned, one territory after another was in an uproar. Far away in the Chaos Channel, a huge commotion had already erupted. 2 Chaos Divine Mountains were bathed in blood. Now, on the 3rd Chaos Divine Mountain, the demons were trembling. One of the demons said with a trembling voice, "War God Su Yen, we have nothing to do with the Northern Yao. Why are you making things difficult for us?" "That's right. We have nothing to do with the Northern Yao. You can't kill us like this. The demons haven't reached the level where all demons are revered." Another demon roared, "You have a grudge with the Northern Yao. You shouldn't implicate us. The demons haven't reached the level where all demons are revered." "You." An expert of the Northern Yao almost exploded in anger. He roared thunderously, "How dare you betray the Northern Yao? You shall die." Slap. Su Yen slapped him across the face, causing the Northern Demon Tribe expert to cough up large mouthfuls of blood. His body flew out like a kite with a broken string. His body shattered like porcelain. His appearance was truly miserable. "Well said," Su Yen coldly shouted. "If I really wanted to start a massacre, would all of you still be alive now? Who is the future ruler of the demon realm? Who is the revered demon? I don't care who it is. It has nothing to do with the Northern Yao. All of you who have nothing to do with the Northern Yao, get down the mountain. The peak of the third Chaos Divine Mountain was in chaos. Large groups of demons fled. Even though there were some northern Yao cultivators among them, Su Yen didn't care at all. Good, ha 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 ha. Su Yen laughed loudly. His voice shook the heavens as he looked down at the third chaotic divine mountain. He looked at the demon region cultivators who were still hesitating and struggling. His own rippling divine might spread out, and everything fell into destruction and darkness. Boom! The entire third Chaos Divine Mountain was covered in bloody light. The sky was dyed red. Only one figure stood at the peak of the mountain, looking down at the world. On this day, Su Yen dominated the world. His blood energy surged, and his terrifying aura suppressed his peers. Chapter 936. At this moment, the myriad sects were in an uproar, and the chaos passageway erupted with waves. This scene really frightened them. Even the news that came one after another made the experts of the various clans tremble in fear. Su Yen had annihilated 3 chaotic divine mountains, massacred the experts of the various clans who had stayed behind, and killed everywhere. On this day, Su Yen was so ferocious that it was suffocating. It was as if a primordial mountain was pressing down on this place, dominating the 10 great chaos passageways. His invincible posture was clear at a glance, causing the cultivators of the myriad races to cry out in shock and disbelief. Moreover, before this, the various Overlord forces had joined forces to besiege Su Yen, but they had faced a complete failure. They had even allowed Su Yen to obtain 2 supreme treasure embryos for free. Now, Su Yen had taken action and taken revenge. He had slaughtered the peaks of the 3 Chaos Divine Mountains. Even now, the smell of blood on the mountain peaks had yet to completely dissipate. There were still waves of terrifying aftershocks that shocked the world. Su Yen had also obtained a large amount of resources. In short, the Chaos Divine Mountains were massacred one after another, shocking the cultivators of the myriad races. The great figures in the outside world were dumbfounded. What a good Su Yen! He is truly domineering and decisive. He has completely fallen out with the various races. Yes, Su Yen is really not afraid of trouble. However, isn't he afraid of the North Demon and the others joining forces? No matter how powerful and terrifying Su Yen is, I reckon that the 2 peak heroes joining forces is enough to make Su Yen face the danger of death. The entire world was abuzz with discussion. In short, the rulers of the various races in the ancestral hall were furious. This was too sullen. Their race's peak heroes weren't in the primal chaos passage, but Su Yen had unleashed a bloody revenge here. As for their people, no one rushed to stop Su Yen, nor did anyone rush to target him. What was this? A dignified peak race was actually intimidated by Su Yen alone. Other than the strongest expert of the race, no one else dared to provoke Su Yen. We are a dignified peak race. The entire Divine Firmament sect was incomparably furious. An old Divine King roared, "Could it be that we can't even kill Su Yen? Can't even kill a small heavenly god? I really don't believe that Su Yen can still defy the heavens. We must kill him." These words caused some people to shake their heads. Killing Su Yen was easier said than done. The King Flash of their race could not do it. Only the Divine King could make an exception. However, Su Yen had killed the Divine King and even a half-step mighty. He had many trump cards up his sleeves. People felt that only an almighty could forcefully suppress Su Yen. If there were too few experts, they would probably be killed by Su Yen instead. After all, the terrifying incident of him killing Zhu Fu with a single punch was still engraved in the hearts of the experts from the various large clans. Our race's Zhu Tian is coming soon. Su Yen definitely won't be able to be arrogant for long. The Ancestral Hall expert said hatefully, "Just wait and see. Once Zhu Tian returns, it will be Su Yan's death and doomsday. He provoked our Ancestral Hall like this. We definitely won't let him die easily." In short, Su Yan's actions and his tyrannical rupture really shocked the cultivators of the myriad races. Some people said in disbelief, "A rising star of a declining race is really heaven-defying. If Su Yan doesn't die, the Divine King will have a chance." The three chaotic divine mountains exuded a bloody and ferocious aura, filled with Su Yan's remaining ferocious might. It had to be said that this scene had a great impact on some heroes. Since ancient times, the peak races had dominated the world. Who dared to cause trouble in their territory? However, Su Yan had done something crazy and bloody in their precious resource land. Some people were shocked, some were angry, some applauded, and some even mocked. "You won't die if you don't court death." The North Yao and Zhu Tian, two peak talents working together, can even kill the supremes of the heavens, let alone Su Yan. Su Yan is also a supremes of the heavens. Someone replied with a frown. Haha, Su Yan is indeed a supremes of the heavens. However, once the North Yao and Zhu Tian work together, Su Yan will definitely die. The person who spoke sneered. It said that he provoked the Sun Dome and even the Dao Hall's peerless genius sagely battle god. Some people are very dissatisfied with Su Yan. There are even some young overlords in the chaotic ruins who want to suppress Su Yan and not let him go too far. Many cultivators who heard this felt a chill in their hearts. Su Yan had definitely attracted the attention of the ancient races in the chaotic ruins. This was not a good thing. Recently, Su Yan's might had been too great. He had returned from a place of despair. As the saying went, people feared fame while pigs feared being fat. Now, many young overlords had their eyes on Su Yan. The killing in the 10th channel was probably just the beginning. There were even more powerful calamities waiting for Su Yan. He's gone. I wonder where his next destination is? Someone personally witnessed Su Yan leaving the 3rd chaotic divine mountain, leaving behind a bloody land. On this day, the 10 channels were completely rioted. Someone took advantage of the chaos to attack the resource lands of the 3 great races. This was a serious problem. Su Yan had really damaged the prestige of their races. Many capable experts gathered their courage and stood out. They wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to excavate the resources for cultivation. The calm 10 channels were surging with great wave. The 10 channels were faintly burning. Every 2 hours there would be endless killing everywhere. In short, an especially shocking storm was set off. This matter was quickly discovered by the Ancestral Hall. Anger surged in their hearts. This was even more infuriating than when Su Yan massacred their chaotic divine mountain. This bunch of trash. Bastards. The experts of the demon region were furious. What was this? Were the people of the world starting to ignore the peak races? What a joke. 4 generations it was us peak races that ruled the world. But now, any random cat or dog has jumped out and dared to attack our ancestral hall. What a joke. In short, the experts of these races were about to go crazy. The situation was completely out of their control, making them extremely angry. However, the situation was too chaotic, and they couldn't find out who did it in a short time. After the news of Su Yan massacring the 3 chaotic divine mountains was leaked, it led to a storm. This also caused the cultivators who were guarding other resource lands to flee in panic. They were afraid that Su Yan would come looking for them. Once they lost their garrison, these resource lands would be quickly breached. In a short night, the 10 great chaos channels were filled with a rain of blood, causing an uproar among the myriad races. This was a serious problem. Su Yan had really massacred their races until they couldn't raise their heads. If Zhu Tian and the others still didn't come, wouldn't this chaos channel be Su Yan's world? Su Yan is dominating the 10 chaotic divine mountains. If the young supreme beings don't come out, who can compete with him? Someone shouted loudly. Using the banner of Su Yan as a general, he also took advantage of the situation to fish in troubled waters. Robbing, Su Yan was a little speechless. He had wanted to go to other areas and steal some cultivation resources. The future path of cultivation was still long, and no one would complain about having more resources. However, the result made Su Yen smile bitterly. He had gone to 10 resource mystic realms, but there was nothing left. They had all been massacred, and the resources had been swept away. There were even people who pretended to be Su Yan's subordinate. They said that he had ordered them to do it. Su Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. D***eminent, using my banner but not leaving me any resources. It seems that there's no chance for me to get more from the 10 great chaos channels. Su Yen was a little helpless, but his harvest was already shocking enough. Almost every one of the 3 chaotic divine mountains had brought Su Yen thousands of kilograms of chaos materials. In other words, Su Yan's wealth, together with what he had extorted from the divine firmament sect, exceeded that of a half-step mighty. An astonishingly huge amount of wealth caused Su Yan's heart to tremble. Even a half-step mighty probably can't take out such a huge amount of wealth. Su Yen grinned and thought, so many chaos materials. I have to make good use of them to increase my strength. Now that Su Yen had the rough embryos of the sky-cleaving sword and the sun, moon, river, and mountain painting on him, Su Yen pondered for a while and felt that he should buy some protective items. After all, he was going to go on an adventure in the Chaos Ruins, so he had to be fully prepared. He was not worried about the various experts, but if some big shot shamelessly attacked him, that would be the worst. I'll buy some materials to forge the rough embryos of the 2 supreme treasures. Su Yen couldn't help but nod. That's right. These 2 supreme treasures have a lot of room for improvement. If I temper and forge them, their power will definitely soar. When I step into the heavenly god realm in the future, I reckon that with these 2 supreme treasures, I'll be able to suppress some weaker divine king. But these materials are probably very expensive. I wonder if I can find them in the Great Tao City? Su Yen asked expectantly. In fact, the goods traded in the Chaos Ruins were very different from those in the outside world. In the Chaos Ruins, one could find many extinct items and rare materials. Su Yen was also prepared to go to the Great Tao City and see if he could buy some good stuff. At this time, he went to the 3rd Chaos Channel. If he wanted to go to the Chaos Ruins, he had to pass through the Chaos Divine Mountain. Of course, for some Divine King experts, they could pass through the chaos in the Chaos Ruins and enter the Chaos Channel. However, there was a certain risk, and weaker cultivators couldn't pass through the chaos at all. For the cultivators in the 10 Chaos Channels, crossing from the Chaos Divine Mountain to the Chaos Ruins was a shortcut. Chaos Ruins, I'm coming. It's said that the territory near the Chaos Divine Mountain is vast and endless. It takes some time to leave the Chaos Channel mystic realm. Only then can you be considered to have entered the Chaos Ruins. It's time to go now. Su Yen glanced back at the Chaos Channel. These years were really unforgettable. At the same time, he looked in the direction of the God Burial Mountain and muttered to himself, I'll come again. That day won't be too far away. I'll definitely unravel the secrets of the Celestial Court. Su Yen clenched his fist. After a long silence, his whole body exuded a strong fighting spirit. The Chaos Ruins was a place where people of the same generation fought for hegemony. Similarly, before the Chaos Ruins was the Immortal Planet. He was looking forward to following the Chaos Ruins and finding out what had happened in that period of history. He wanted to see the truth. The more he knew, the more Su Yen felt that there was a great mystery in the universe. No matter what, some of the relevant clues that Su Yen had obtained were closely related to the race of the Burial Realm. Chapter 937. Su Yan's figure became blurry as he began to traverse the chaotic zone. The 10 chaotic divine mountains could be considered a valuable universe secret realm. It affected a vast area, and because of the influence of the universe secret realm, the nearby vast territory was affected by the secret realm. Therefore, in this blurry territory covered by chaos, there were no great beings who had surpassed the heavenly god realm. The universe secret realms also had their own rules of operation. It was rumored that the universe's secret realms were created by great figures in ancient history. Some people also said that they were created by heaven and earth. Every universe's secret realm had its own unique rules of operation, and naturally, many strange things were born in it. As for this incomplete universe, there were too many legends about this kind of resource secret realm. The legend that was closest to reality was that the complete universe of the past was damaged and became an incomplete universe. An incomplete universe couldn't exist forever. Of course, the incomplete universe was hidden very deeply, and it was too difficult to dig it out. Every incomplete universe contained shocking wealth. It was a rare secret realm that even great beings would be jealous of. To be able to attack and occupy an incomplete universe was a heaven-defying opportunity. Very few great beings in history could do it. In this vast chaos ruins, there was definitely an incomplete universe hidden in the chaos. There were great beings who traversed the chaos and explored the vast chaotic zone, hoping to find traces of the incomplete universe. After a long time, some groups secretly controlled the incomplete universe. These were all secrets that no one knew. Usually, when the chaos ruins opened, they would choose to enter the secret realm and excavate resources that could give birth to another universe era. It had to be said that the overlords were really strong since ancient times. Of course, these resource secret realms had lost their attraction to great beings. After all, a heaven-defying opportunity could only be born once. Now, all the great beings in the world began to explore the chaotic zone to find traces of the new incomplete universe. However, the chaos ruins were too big. Even great beings like the Divine King couldn't traverse the chaos ruins in thousands of years. Even great beings couldn't do it. After all, the chaos ruins weren't just vast, they were also dangerous. 1. Su Yan's figure traversed the chaos. He could sense that even after leaving the Chaos Channel, the pressure of the 10 Chaos Channels was still present. No wonder the Divine King wasn't guarding this place. Su Yan traversed through this gloomy world. Along the way, he encountered many people who were traveling with him. However, his speed was surprisingly fast. He was faintly discernible in the chaos. Wherever he passed, the aura released by his body made the passers-by feel fearful. Another powerful cultivator has left. It seems like the fortune of the Chaos Channel is about to be exhausted. All the kings will gather in the Chaos Ruins. That's right. Su Yan massacred the 3 chaotic divine mountains and killed over 100 top-notch experts. His battle shocked the world. With this ruthless man here, I reckon he has scared away many young experts who are hiding in the dark. This was a group of cultivators who had formed a group and were preparing to head to the Chaos Ruins. They stood here and discussed. At the same time, they also looked at Su Yan's blurry back. Although they couldn't see clearly who it was, everyone could feel that this person was powerful and prosperous. Bang! All of a sudden, chaos energy rippled in the vast world. However, this rippling momentum suddenly became fierce to the extreme. It was like a boundless sea of chaos was rising and falling. The moment this momentum erupted, everything within a radius of 100,000 miles began to shake. The world seemed to be heading towards destruction. These cultivators were sweating profusely. They were so frightened that they almost wet their pants. This sudden change was too sudden. It was difficult for them to bear. They all felt as if they were walking towards death. Their internal organs began to distort along with the world's trembling. They cried out in pain. They held their heads, their hearts filled with despair. Had they suddenly encountered danger in the Chaos Ruins? But they still hadn't left the Chaos Channel's range. They shouldn't have encountered such a ridiculous event. Following that, they were horrified. In the trembling universe environment, the chaos energy that filled the skies collapsed. Following that, one figure after another with terrifying auras seemed to return from the heavenly realm. They were suffused with a peerless aura that could suppress the world. The gloomy world instantly brightened. It was as if dozens of terrifying suns had sunk. They illuminated the chaos, overlooking the world and swallowing the rivers and mountains. Heavens! They continuously trembled, their hearts filled with alarm. How could this type of thing happen? More than 10 unmatched kings, all of them at the heavenly deity domain. Now they returned to the Chaos Channel. Could it be that something major happened in the Chaos Channel, drawing them all back at the same time? Immediately afterwards, these people's souls were about to fall. It was because a figure with an indistinct aura appeared before them. Normally, these people were all high up above, only able to look up to them. However, right now they were in close contact with them. This made these onlookers tremble with fear and uneasiness. What happened to the chaotic divine mountain? He spoke, his voice sounding like a great bell, shaking them until their blood and chi surged, directly falling weakly onto the ground. This voice truly seemed to rule over their life and death. This group of cultivators stammered, unable to speak at all. Their minds were all still in shock, unable to free themselves. Hurring! The indistinct figure released a cold snort. He raised his hand, removing a person's head. He directly seized the primordial spirit in the head, carrying out a soul search. When he learned about the successive bloody events that happened in the Chaos Channel, this person went mad with anger. He released an explosive roar, chaotic energy exploding in the sky, as if heaven and earth were being split apart. Su Yen. Zhu Tian was furious, his jet-black hair fluttering in the wind. His aura was too frightening, sweeping through all directions. The group of kings who came with him were all shocked. Zhu Tian's unfathomable foundation leaked out in his anger, making them feel even more pressured. The North Demon's face was gloomy. Something big must have happened, or else Zhu Tian wouldn't be so furious. Sun Dome frowned. According to the information from his family, the great factions of the Ancestral Hall had joined forces and spent all their resources to kill Su Yen. Now that Zhu Tian was furious, he was bound to lose. This Su Yen had escaped unscathed from the land of despair. He really didn't know what kind of benefits he had obtained. Zhu Tian was like a crazed monster as he charged into the Chaos Channel. His entire body was filled with the power of heavenly divinity, and it was as if a dark universe had descended upon the world. The vast chaos zone began to rumble involuntarily. Just like that, the dozen or so kings also charged into the Chaos Channel. As for the dozen or so cultivators who came together, their eyes were still filled with fear. When they saw a headless corpse, some of them even cried out in grief. They've returned, they were heartbroken. Their leader had died just like that, suffering an unexpected calamity. However, this was a disaster caused by Zhu Tian wanting to know some information. They found it hard to accept. Bastards, I really hope Su Yen can kill them all. These people are too ruthless. They were in great pain. In truth, they weren't weak, but they were too insignificant in front of Zhu Tian. A dozen or so invincible kings have descended into the Chaos Channel. They are all peak existences among the heavenly deities. The vast territory was in an uproar. When Zhu Tian roared out the two words, Su Yen, the beings in the distance already knew who had returned. They were all horrified. Wasn't this lineup a little too abnormal? A dozen or so invincible kings had arrived. If it was said that a dozen or so invincible kings had died in the Chaos Channel, no one would believe it. If they joined forces, would Su Yen still have a chance of survival? In fact, Su Yen had already left the Chaos Channel long ago. He was crossing the territory in this dark world when he suddenly stopped and muttered, "Who's calling my real name?" Su Yen frowned as he sensed something. He looked at the area at the end of the path. He could vaguely sense that a group of powerful beings had appeared in that area just now. Although they were far away, with Su Yan's spiritual power, he could still sense how powerful and terrifying this group of people was. Are they here to target me? Su Yen could vaguely sense a murderous intent targeting him, wanting to cut him apart. His face sank. Could it be that Zhu Tian and the others had returned? However, the enemies were somewhat beyond Su Yan's expectations. A dozen or so young experts with powerful auras were charging toward the Chaos Channel. If Su Yan really encountered them, the situation would be dire. A good horse doesn't eat pasture. Go ahead and cause trouble. Following which, Su Yan laughed. His current mission was to rush into the heavenly god realm. Currently, Su Yan was still standing at the 8th level of the divine spirit realm. However, Su Yan was very close to the peak of the realm. Although Su Yan could erupt with combat strength that was suspected to be on the level of a heavenly god, he was still a fake. However, he was only a fake heavenly god now, not a true heavenly god. I wonder what I will experience on the path to becoming a heavenly god. I really hope I can take this step soon. Su Yan crossed the Chaos Channel. Soon, he felt the pressure of the Chaos Channel weaken. This meant that Su Yan was about to leave this universe mystic realm. Su Yan could already see a corner of the majestic mountains and rivers in the distance. After crossing a distance, Su Yan arrived at his destination. It was a land of good fortune with myths and legends. The ancient chaos ruins had existed for a long time and were directly related to the immortal star. I've finally arrived. Su Yan's emotions couldn't help but surge. He clenched his fists and fiercely crossed. The pressure of the universe mystic realm decreased sharply. When the pressure was about to completely disperse, Su Yan was about to step into the chaos ruins. However, he felt that the world had changed. It was terrifying and unimaginable. It was as if an unimaginable giant had quietly awakened. It was as if an ancient life form had awakened from a deep slumber. That terrifying power filled the outer space, affecting millions of miles of rivers and mountains. Boom! The world trembled. An unparalleled pressure appeared. It was as if a true dragon had locked down Su Yan's body. Su Yan's body was about to explode. He paled. Had he been exposed? But wasn't this too thorough? He had returned from God Burial Mountain. Could it be that he had attracted the attention of a supreme existence? But would a supreme existence really lower their status and wait here for him to enter the chaos ruins to capture him? There were pursuers behind him and tigers and wolves in front of him. No matter what happened, Su Yan was really imprisoned. He couldn't move his body. 9 Heaven's Divine Sovereign. Chapter 938. In truth, there really was such a possibility. The Danger Zone God Burial Mountain had existed for an incalculable amount of time. Throughout history, no one had been able to break through this danger zone. But Su Yan's appearance had caused an uproar amongst all the races. He had directly shattered the legend of this danger zone and even left the mountain unscathed. Otherwise, the various races of the Ancestral Hall wouldn't have dispatched over 100 top masters to hunt down Su Yan. A danger zone naturally caused great figures of all races to covet it. Even supreme elders would pay attention to it. Who knew what Su Yan had obtained in this danger zone? Even if he hadn't obtained anything, there would still be great figures that wanted to figure out the secrets of God Burial Mountain. If there really was an old antique hiding in the dark and targeting Su Yan, then the situation would be terrible. Su Yan fiercely struggled. But the mighty strength that originated from the world was too astonishing, making it difficult for Su Yan to move. He clenched his teeth, wanting to summon the Great Tao Diagram and open up a path of escape so he could leave this area. Something's wrong. But soon after, Su Yan's complexion changed. This was because he discovered that there were many other living beings nearby. These cultivators' cultivations weren't weak. Their expressions were filled with fear and unease. Their situation was the same as Su Yan's. Their bodies were imprisoned and it was difficult for them to move. Su Yan's complexion changed. What was going on? He calmed down and observed his surroundings. He discovered that the mighty strength that was born from the world was boundless. It affected an unknown number of regions, covering millions and millions of miles and involving many great territories. A vast and boundless territory with trillions of living beings. At this moment, panic and fear filled the air. Even the world changed color, appearing gloomy and gloomy. All of this was captured by Su Yan. This caused Su Yan's heart to shake. If there really was someone targeting him, there was no reason for such a great disturbance to occur. Perhaps something else was happening in this world. Motherf *Ker, could I have encountered some danger zone in the Chaos Ruins? But I just came out of the Chaos Channel, so logically speaking, there shouldn't be any danger zones here. If there really was, news would have already spread out. Su Yan's breathing was heavy as he constantly scanned his surroundings. Boom! While Su Yan was nervously observing, there was a loud explosion. The sky shook and the earth trembled. The sound shook people's souls. Many people were shocked to the point that their souls were about to split. The universe became even more frightened and uneasy. This kind of unknown event was really frightening. Because there's actually a group of big shots hiding in the dark here. What are they waiting here for? Many people cried out in shock. There were at least a dozen divine kings, and their auras were terrifying and overbearing. There were even half-step almighties who were hiding in the dark. It was as if a group of small giants were hiding here. Is the incomplete universe about to appear? Su Yan's face was gloomy and uncertain. He carefully sealed the aura in his body and his life force. This was because Su Yan had a premonition that these people might be waiting for him here and targeting him. Damn, if that's the case, then they think too highly of me. Su Yan's face twitched fiercely. Su Yan didn't believe that so many strong people had gathered here for no reason. Moreover, they were at the edge of the Chaos Channel, an area that wasn't suppressed by the secret realm. They had hidden themselves too well. If it wasn't for the changes in the world, they wouldn't have revealed themselves. Su Yan could see that these people were also quite panicked. Obviously, they didn't know that such a sudden event would happen. Even powerful half-step supreme beings were suppressed and imprisoned. These big shots had gloomy expressions. They had indeed come for the secret of God Burial Mountain. However, this sudden event was beyond their control. Even if it was an almighty, it was impossible to produce such terrifying power in such a short time. Some old antiques even speculated that it was very likely that a universe secret realm had suddenly opened. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so shocking. Bastard! A mysterious half-step supreme being cursed in his heart. Perhaps he had seen some clues. Of all times, he had to appear at this time. After all, this was a land of death. Su Yan would have to leave the Chaos Channel sooner or later. This was the only way to go from the Chaos Channel to the Chaos Ruins. Now they were all exposed. What the hell is going on? Su Yan's expression became more and more solemn. He felt that the changes in the world were getting more and more serious. God knew how many large domains it had affected. As a result, mysterious chaos symbols were manifesting in the vast starry sky of the universe. This was a special kind of Tao mark that seemed to have traveled through time. It emitted a terrifying power that suppressed all living beings in the universe. Something's not right. Su Yan's eyes narrowed slightly. His figure quickly sank and his feet soon landed on the ground. At this moment, Su Yan realized that although the mighty power derived from the world was still there, it only confined space. There was no problem for him to run on the ground. A restricting domain? Could it be some kind of ancient array or the opening of a special secret realm in the universe for this to happen? Su Yan thought to himself. He didn't dare to move. He hid here and watched quietly. He was really worried that there were old monsters secretly eyeing the cultivators who came out of the Chaos Channel. Soon, more and more cultivators began to realize that the mighty power of the world only confined space. There was no problem for them to run on the ground. This area also began to become chaotic, and it spread far and wide. Similarly, more than half of this group of experts had left. They were frantically crossing, wanting to return to report. They all felt that something big was about to happen. So they don't know what's going on either. Su Yen asked around for information. Some of the native creatures were dumbfounded. This was the first time something like this had happened. There were no records of this in the ancient books of their clans. However, this was very advantageous for Su Yen. The air-restricting domain suppressed even the combat strength of experts. Su Yen also followed the crowd, running here without worry. The old antiques who stayed behind to wait for Su Yen could only watch helplessly. There were too many people. If they really attacked, news would definitely spread. This race of the burial region had a fierce god overseeing it. They didn't want to provoke this race openly. These old guys are really targeting me. A cold light flashed in the depths of Su Yan's eyes. He didn't even look back. He followed the crowd and rushed into the chaos ruins. This corner of the grand world was filled with a wild and ancient aura. It was impossible to measure how long this world had existed. Generation after generation, heroes came forth in large numbers. Experts contended for hegemony and created many world-shaking heroes. The chaos ruins covered a boundless territory. Su Yen couldn't sense anything familiar in this vast territory. He didn't know if he could still see the ruined mountains and rivers left behind by the immortal planet, or even the complete secret realms of heaven and earth. How far has it spread? There were too many people traveling with him. It was difficult to count. Su Yen didn't know how long he had been running. In short, this area was in complete chaos. Millions of miles of mountains and rivers were affected. The forbidden space was too grand. It was difficult for news to spread in a short time. Many people hoped that a secret realm of the universe had opened, but Su Yen didn't think so. He felt that a terrifying furnace had been born between heaven and earth. It was burning and gushing out a unique power of heaven and earth, thus affecting the changes in the world. Look! Someone cried out in alarm in the distance. Many people looked over. Su Yan's expression was abnormal. He looked around the crowd and found countless people running wildly in one direction. There was even the Divine King leading the way. What's going on? There were too many people rushing over. It was impossible to count. Among them, there were some heroes with powerful auras who were also running wildly. They seemed to be chasing after some treasure that was about to be born. Su Yen looked in the direction of their destination. He could see that in the distant world, there was a sudden appearance of chaotic lightning. There was also an even thicker forbidden space force spewing out. There was definitely a source that was continuously reviving from its slumber. But in the process, it caused millions of miles of territory to be densely covered with a terrifying forbidden space force field. It seemed as if the world was rising and falling with it. So scary. Could some supreme treasure have been born? Su Yen was speechless. He followed the crowd and ran wildly. Along the way, some people leaked some clues. I don't know, but the clan leader has ordered the whole clan to rush over. The greatest land of fortune in history is about to open. Someone spoke with an excited voice, leaving everyone horrified. Even divine kings cried out in alarm, the most powerful natural luck in history. Just how powerful of a place of natural luck was born here? Could it be that this is the fledgling form of the universe that only appeared briefly in history? After experiencing the nourishment of endless time, it has already developed into a universe. The greatest land of fortune in history? This was truly a bit frightening. Some people couldn't help but imagine it. Although Su Yen could see some vague images of the destination, the distance was quite far and wide. The main reason was that the commotion coming from the source was too shocking. Another day passed. Countless creatures were running across the great earth, heading towards their destination. Finally, on this day, a loud explosion rang out. At this moment, the world seemed to have split apart. The sound was too violent, like the roar of millions of oceans. All living beings were paralyzed on the ground. The Divine King felt as if his body was about to explode. This wasn't a massacre, but a deterrent force that targeted one's cultivation level. But even the Divine King found it extremely difficult to bear. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Su Yan's eyes were turning black, but he was still able to hold on. Immediately, Su Yan felt a vast energy awakening. Covered the sky and covered the earth. It was accompanied by an ancient air current that gushed out and rushed out. He did not know how many large regions it had passed through. In short, it had a tendency to hit the end of the universe. Chapter 939. What's that? The mysterious source was gushing out a small amount of light, yet it was filled with peerless power that could pierce through the cosmos. Along the way, it was as though a cosmic hurricane was rushing over. Wherever the light passed, the void collapsed. At the same time, it was accompanied by fragments of the great Tao. This light had actually pierced through the great Tao. What terrifying power! I can't bear it. Everyone present was trembling with fear. Even someone as powerful as the Divine King was no exception. He felt his soul throbbing with great fear. One by one, they felt as though they were about to shatter. This caused some of the old monsters to turn pale. This kind of energy form was simply too powerful. Unbelievable! They were all frightened. This kind of mighty power had exceeded their understanding. It had penetrated billions of miles in an instant. Even the Almighty couldn't possess such destructive power. After all, how could such a ferocious energy form be born in such a short period of time? In fact, their perception wasn't much at all. It was because the experts of various clans who were entrenched in the outside world were quite far from the source. The great figures of various clans were all shocked, feeling as if an unmatched existence was rushing over. It was full of a world-destroying pressure, making them feel as if their heads were about to explode. Buzz! Immediately, a large number of experts retreated at lightning speed. They were scared stiff and ran as far as they could away from snakes and scorpions. Don't panic. In this chaotic world, the old Grandmaster of the Han family was still able to remain calm. He waved his hand and shouted in a low voice. He felt that this power wasn't directed at them. Merely a small amount of air flow could be said to be produced by a supreme treasure. It contained a unique power of law and seemed to be able to rewrite the laws of the universe. It was a heaven-defying attack. Panic had broken out in the universe. Everyone in the direction of the source fell into silence. A supreme treasure? Su Yan's throat was moving. He was flabbergasted, but Su Yan had also witnessed the glory of the celestial court and the terror of the 6 supreme entities. His emotions quickly calmed down. At this moment, Su Yan felt that this was very likely a phenomenon born in a land of despair. Could it be that a land of despair has been broken? Or perhaps the fortune nurtured within has matured? Su Yan's eyes were burning with passion. There was a high possibility that this guess was correct. If he could obtain the good fortune from the source, it would be heaven-defying. However, what they didn't know was that the moment this small amount of airflow gushed out, even some old monsters who had been sleeping for thousands of years in the universe's star field were too powerful and ancient. They usually didn't come out. But now, with just a slight release of their aura, the heavens and earth trembled, the sun and moon sank, and the world almost couldn't contain them. All living beings in the universe were as insignificant as dust in front of them. It was like a group of ancient creatures standing up and overlooking the world. Greetings, ancient ancestor. The top-life ancient stars were shaken one after another. The Almighty of the clan woke up from their deep sleep. The world where they were sitting cross-legged flickered. When they breathed, the sea of stars in the sky dimmed. Buzz. Even a corner of the universe had been suppressed to the point where it lost its radiance. Only they had existed since ancient times, immortal even after countless tribulations. The power of a powerful being was immeasurable. Their methods were heaven-reaching. There were cultivators with great divine abilities who opened their heavenly eyes and gazed into the distant primal chaos ruins, seeing through the appearance of some of the sources. However, he sighed in his heart. After all, countless years had passed. Generations of heroes had tried, but no one had been able to obtain it. Even though it had existed for generations and generations of the universe, in the end, no one had been able to grasp it. Everyone knew how terrifying this thing was, but what use was there if they couldn't obtain it? It's different this time. The commotion is a bit big. Maybe someone really can succeed. I wonder who will obtain it. Within the primal chaos ruins, there was an ancient Almighty's secret language that shook the heavens and earth. He walked out from the famed mountains and great rivers and said coldly, "This era is destined to be extraordinary. The most powerful fortune in history has appeared. Maybe it will be taken away by someone. Is there going to be a supreme expert? Could it be that the buried world is going to be reversed and broken? Who will be the master of the universe?" When these words were transmitted, many powerful beings with terrifying auras in the famed mountains and great rivers became agitated. If this matter were to spread, who knew what kind of terrifying earthquake it would cause? Since the Almighty said so, there might really be a possibility. In short, because of this small amount of chi flow that traversed the great universe, all the sleeping old antiques were awakened. At the same time, orders were issued. Once this matter was spread, it was destined to shock the world. Even in the Tao Church there were bells ringing. Some geniuses who had been sealed since ancient times had been awakened. The most powerful fortune in history was about to surface, and it concerned all the races and powers. This was especially true in the Tao Church, where generations of heroes had gathered. They were knowledgeable about the past and present, and there were already powerful beings who knew what was going on. Our Tao Church encompasses the world's scriptures and profundities, and our disciples are extremely knowledgeable. If even the geniuses of our Tao Church can't obtain it, then the other races have no hope at all. I hope our Tao Church can succeed this time. Many powerful beings from the Tao Church stood out, full of confidence. Their lineage had existed for too long and encompassed the world's scriptures and abilities. Although they couldn't collect all of them, when it came to who had the most scriptures, if the Tao Church said they were second, no one would dare to say they were first. The Tao Church had been eyeing the most powerful fortune in history for a long time. Within the chaotic ruins, the overlords of the sky bamboo lineage had their ancestors awakening from their slumber. They had personally issued orders that they had to fight for this fortune with all their might. If they succeeded, then even if the world were to suffer a calamity in the future, their races would still have a place to stand. This matter was related to a truly terrifying fortune. It was a heaven-defying fortune that even the Almighty would go crazy over. In a single night, the various races of the universe were secretly in turmoil. One could imagine how serious this matter was. It was even more frightening than the secrets of God Burial Mountain that Su Yen had uncovered. In truth, this was also because they didn't know much about God Burial Mountain. They didn't know what secrets were hidden within the land of despair. Su Yen felt that it was a little too much to say that this was the strongest creation in history. God Burial Mountain contained 6 supreme treasures and an unfathomable layout. It also buried a period of history that was related to a great existence. The secrets hidden within God Burial Mountain were astonishing. There were definitely mysteries that Su Yen had yet to discover. The most powerful fortune in history? Su Yen scratched his head. Just how powerful was this fortune to be called the most powerful in history? Could it be that one could become almighty by eating it? Could it even chase after an unimaginable domain? This puzzled Su Yen. He was naturally curious about the most powerful fortune in history. But no matter what, the small amount of airflow that gushed out was quite astonishing. The fortune was naturally heaven-defying enough. Everyone wanted to possess such a method. Many people stopped in their tracks and didn't charge forward. This was because the aura in the direction of the source was changing. At times, it was terrifying. It was as if an ancient creature had awakened from its slumber and released a terrifying power. Then, waves of clear light burst forth. The aura was divine to the extreme. It was as if an immortal world was being born. The heavenly scriptures of the great Tao were being recited. It was as if a true immortal's great Tao was being nurtured and a supreme result was being achieved. Then, immortal light shot out in all directions. It was so bright that it illuminated the universe. Within the bright light, all sorts of unimaginable phenomena were born. It was as if a group of supreme creatures were gathering clouds and ascending. In short, the aura was quite astonishing. It was constantly changing. The aura is constantly changing. Could it be a combination type supreme treasure that is called the most powerful fortune in history? But the most powerful fortune in history shouldn't be a supreme treasure, right? Supreme treasures are all external methods. It shouldn't be some kind of treasure. Su Yin muttered. Right now, no one could come to a conclusion. Even if it was a fortune that appeared in the past, it was completely different from the past when it appeared in this world. Layers of brilliant radiance constantly illuminated the world. The world also flickered between light and darkness. There were also earth-shaking movements. In short, the world was shaking and trembling. The old antiques of various races didn't dare to rashly approach. They were really afraid that they would be crushed by the earth-shaking energy. Did you guys notice? The Almighty hasn't appeared yet. Could it be that this no-fly zone suppresses the Almighty? Someone said something so shocking that even Su Yin was moved. He had overlooked this problem before. With such a powerful movement, the Almighty would definitely come and take a look. But the Almighty hadn't appeared yet. Could it be that even the Almighty couldn't approach? If that was really the case, then it was a bit frightening. Even the Almighty couldn't approach and seize it by force. This fortune had existed for countless years. Didn't that mean that it couldn't be taken away by force? Just how tyrannical was this treasure? Su Yin was greatly alarmed. He calmed his heart and waited. This wait lasted for an entire 3 days and 3 nights. More and more people rushed towards this area, but no one dared to approach. They were really afraid of encountering unexpected risk. It was also at this moment that everyone present was shocked. That was because the source had suddenly surged countless times. The momentum was monstrous and deafening. Even the Divine King was astonished. This kind of sound of the great Tao contained a terrifying sense of oppression. It caused the boundless cosmos and starry skies to tremble. It was extremely difficult for the world to contain it. Everything was about to erupt along with this supreme treasure. It was walking towards destruction. Boom! A loud noise shook the heavens. Layers of resplendent radiance interweaved with thick laws of order. It suppressed a corner of the cosmos until it became dark and lightless. It even covered the vast world of heaven and earth. Everyone felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Large numbers of cultivators were coughing up blood. Very few people could withstand it. This unique power targeted everyone regardless of their cultivation level. Only the most powerful cultivators of the same generation could withstand it, just barely. I feel that it's even more powerful than before. An old antique spoke. He was quite excited because he felt that this race's almighty expert's assertion was correct. Perhaps there really was someone in this generation who could obtain it. After a long period of time, the greatest creation in history seemed to have begun to grow. Countless years had passed, and only the heavens knew how strong it was. It was an immortal treasure that made all the Almighties in the past jealous. When the last loud explosion rang out, it was as if a new era had been born. The vast primal chaos ruins were suffused with an extremely heavy power. Even someone as powerful as Su Yin felt as if he was carrying the eternal azure sky on his back. His breathing was heavy. There was deep shock in the depths of his eyes. Just how powerful was this power? It actually suppressed the great Tao of the universe and opened up an independent world. In addition, Su Yin also saw the source's true appearance. It was a massive substance. It was like an immortal cave was erupting with the heavenly sound of the great Tao. The light of order surged and surged with a mysterious radiance. Su Yin was moved and turned pale. At first glance, it looked like a mysterious seed. He also had a mysterious seed that originated from the divine mountain range. Even now, he still couldn't unravel the mysteries of this seed. However, could the greatest fortune in history be merely a mysterious seed? Chapter 940. In the direction of the source, there was a hazy and mysterious luster. There was a round object that was resplendent to the extreme, as if it could burn down the world. It was like a great sun burning in the heavens. It gushed with clear splendor and interweaved with the light of order. It illuminated the universe and heavens, and the air currents it released forcefully suppressed millions and millions of miles of rivers and mountains. It was a terrifying manifestation that caused a stir throughout the entire audience. Was this the strongest form of creation in history? It looked like a seed that was mysterious and unfathomable. It was suspended in an indescribable space-time and had existed for countless years. Just like that, it appeared before the eyes of the world. What kind of substance is this? Most people were baffled. The scene had exceeded their expectations. They had originally thought that it was a supreme treasure or a universe, but the result left them dumbfounded. It was like a mysterious seed. Only a few old antiques were stirred. Regarding the strongest creation in history, there had already been a conclusion from a distant era. There were also certain records in their family's ancient texts. Now that it had surfaced, it was clear to such a degree. Perhaps it really would come into being in this era. Boom! Just as the entire audience fell silent, wave after wave of boundlessly terrifying auras rippled over. The world erupted with great tremors and all life in the universe began to tremble. This wasn't just a single supreme fluctuation. There were at least a dozen auras that surged over, about to collapse the long river of time. Su Yen even felt waves of prehistoric fluctuations from within. It was as if an ancient life form had crossed through the ages and arrived. Its appearance would inevitably alarm many old freaks, and they were all spying on it. However, no one dared to approach this place. Many bloody incidents had occurred before. There had been supreme beings who tried to forcefully seize it. Unfortunately, without exception, all of them had perished. This was a substance that even the eyes of supreme beings turned red, but they couldn't do anything about. How could the world not be alarmed? Thus, it was determined to be the strongest creation in history. The Chaos Ruins are truly a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. There are actually over a dozen supreme beings' auras surging over. Su Yen felt a headache coming on. It was like the end of time and space in all directions. There were vague and massive figures that quietly appeared. In their world, the sun set and the moon fell. The sea of stars trembled and gods and devils bowed before them. These were supreme beings. They were powerful to the peak of their power and terrifying to the extreme. But now, more than 10 mighty figures were emanating boundless energy fluctuations. They also vaguely revealed their spiritual wills. They were all determined to obtain this mysterious seed. What kind of secret is it hiding that even the mighty figures can't sit still? Many people cried out in alarm. In the past, when God-burying mountain appeared, the supreme experts didn't come. But now that this mysterious seed appeared, more than a dozen supreme experts couldn't sit still. They even suspected that this thing would float out and trigger a series of bloody battles. Su Yen couldn't see through it either. Perhaps his cultivation level was too low, or perhaps it was because of other reasons. He also had a mysterious seed, but he didn't know how valuable it was. "Look!" a cultivator exclaimed and pointed at the mysterious seed. "So it's here. Oh my God, no wonder it's called the greatest fortune in history." Everyone present looked in the direction of the source. Su Yen also saw the magnificent outline of the world. He was speechless, and his eyes widened. This was simply a corner of a peerlessly grand universe. Great peaks appeared one after another, so grand that they could be called ancient cities. The mountains were boundless and endless, one after another. It was impossible to count them all. If it weren't for the scene that appeared and emitted a kind of oppressive, cold, and dilapidated fluctuation, everyone would have thought that a universe of good fortune had appeared. A corner of the grand universe emitted waves of terrifying energy. Moreover, the world was dark red, as if it had been dyed in blood. The aura was so cold that it caused the hairs of everyone present to stand on end. This was a land of death. The world was silent and withered, and the aura of dilapidation was thick. There was a sense of heaviness that made one feel flustered. No one dared to rashly investigate. This was only a corner of the world. It was difficult to see what was in the distance. One could only see a vague outline. It was shocking, and even the divine king was as small as a speck of dust. He could only look at it from afar. This was a group of ants looking up at an azure dragon. A corner of this mysterious land was lifted up. A special radiance rose up. The deeper one looked, the greater the shock. This was because in the vague outline, although there was ancient chaos energy rising, one could also see corpses that were as large as the heavens themselves. They appeared in this blurry world. Moreover, as some corpses floated about, they crushed countless stars. The main reason was that this world was too vast. They floated about like this for an unknown number of years. This mysterious world was like a massive burial ground. The aura of death was thick and the pressure was astonishing. There was only a single seed that hung in the vague outline of this world, illuminating the world. So this is the immortal graveyard. Everyone was panic-stricken. Everyone could feel that the immortal graveyard could be called a land of annihilation. If it covered everything, the entire chaos ruins would collapse. The immortal graveyard was known as the #1 danger zone in the chaos ruins. No one knew why it was called the immortal graveyard. This was the name of a danger zone that had been passed down throughout history. Immortal graveyard? Su Yen whispered. He felt that this immortal graveyard was even more astonishing than Chaos Immortal Mountain. God Burial Mountain, Immortal Graveyard, are the two related? There were too many legends about this immortal graveyard. Even the expressions of great beings changed. This was the #1 danger zone, one that would die upon contact. Why are they all related to the word burial, even including my burial region clan? Su Yan's brows furrowed deeply. He truly felt that this clan's waters were too deep, the years involved too vast. Now, because of the appearance of a mysterious seed, the immortal graveyard was also about to appear. The most powerful danger zone was about to open. Everyone present went crazy. The greatest natural luck and opportunity in history was truly about to arrive. Since this immortal graveyard has been opened before, why hasn't anyone obtained the greatest natural luck in history? Someone voiced out their confusion, hoping to obtain an answer. There were some old freaks who couldn't help but laugh. How could it be so easy to obtain? It had indeed been opened before in the distant era. Even though they could see this mysterious seed, what kind of place was the immortal graveyard? It was dangerous to the extreme. Of course, even when they explored the immortal graveyard and found the place where it was suspended, no one obtained this mysterious seed. There were previously great beings who cultivated in a seal, taking the risk to enter to obtain the mysterious seed. Unfortunately, they all failed, no one able to succeed. However, now, the great figures of various clans speculated that this mysterious seed, after experiencing endless years of nourishment from heaven and earth essence, was even more powerful and mature than before. Perhaps it really was time to pluck it. However, as for what kind of abilities this seed possessed, there were no legends of this in the outside world. It was likely that only a few clans understood it. An immortal seed about to mature. I never expected this realm to be able to produce this type of natural luck. It truly is formidable. In the distant world, a woman watched from the distance. She was an outstanding beauty, noble and exceptional. This woman's skin was like jade, bathed in golden holy light. Her curvaceous figure in particular was vividly displayed by the golden armor. This was an unforgettable beauty. Her head of beautiful golden hair hung down to her waist. A pair of golden pupils were shining, currently staring at the mysterious seed floating above the immortal graveyard. She muttered to herself, "It's about to mature. This also indicates that this realm is about to open." Her gaze quickly shifted away from the immortal seed, as if she was not interested in it at all. However, the golden woman's eyes flowed with wisps of cold light. Once again, she recalled the mysterious seed that Su Yen took away in the divine mountain range. She had always been brooding over it, unable to forget it. Fairy, her appearance attracted a lot of attention. Many Yingjie of the younger generation came to greet her, their eyes full of passion. Such a beautiful woman was truly rare. The golden woman stood proudly, a blurry bronze tree faintly materializing behind her. She scoffed at the young geniuses around her who were fawning over her. These people, in front of her master, were just a bunch of chickens and pottery dogs. So what if they were heavenly supremes? It was extremely difficult for them to enter her eyes. "It's her." Su Yan's eyelids twitched. He also saw the golden woman. He carefully retracted his aura, his heart becoming heavier and heavier, because Su Yen spied on the bronze tree faintly discernible behind her. He could not forget the scene of the bronze tree nurturing the heavenly weapon and even the peerless halberd at the peak of the mountain. After a long time, it was nurturing the weapon. This golden woman's origin was very shocking. Moreover, Su Yen had stolen a mysterious seed from her. Now, if he could, he would not provoke her. It was also at this moment that a reprimand came from the heaven and earth ahead. Su Yen looked into the distance and saw an old expert reprimanding his disciples. He listened carefully. "What are you doing? Is this the immortal graveyard a place you can enter?" A strong clan leader shouted coldly, "Even now, the immortal graveyard has not opened yet. Retreat immediately, don't get close to the immortal graveyard." "So it hasn't opened yet. We'll come again when it opens." Many people were disappointed. However, an old antique laughed and said, "Don't be disappointed. It's your fortune that it hasn't opened yet. If it really opens, you can only despair." "What do you mean?" Everyone was stunned. Su Yen frowned and scratched his head. The immortal graveyard was 10,000 times more dangerous, but this #1 danger zone would definitely nurture endless heavenly treasures. After all, it hadn't opened for hundreds of thousands of years. Only heaven knew what kind of fortunes it had nurtured. But if the immortal graveyard really opened, it would definitely be the #1 land of fortune. It would be a place that all the geniuses of the universe would fight over. Boom! Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the distance. This instantly tugged at everyone's nerves. They all looked into the distance, and their faces went pale. That was a shadow, and his entire body was spitting out boundless clear splendor. Moreover, when he breathed, the boundless territory shook and rumbled. This was the awakening of an indescribably vast divine force. It could be said that the Emperor of the Divine King was erupting. Even in this world with a heavy atmosphere, he appeared exceptionally terrifying and released resplendent radiance. "That's a Divine King?" Even the half-step Almighties were moved. This Divine King was simply too tyrannical. His divine force was terrifying, and as he breathed, his pores emitted the radiance of essence blood. It was enough to make the bodies of 10,000 spirits explode. Everyone in the field was horrified. Su Yen slowly clenched his fist. "He has a protective supreme treasure on him." Some experts saw through the clues. Even a divine king, even a peerless divine king, wouldn't dare to rush in like this. Some people noticed that this divine king's body was covered in a layer of terrifying light of order. Following his dash, this light of order became infinitely powerful. In the end, it turned into a magnificent picture scroll that encompassed the universe and was filled with the power to suppress the universe. A picture scroll that shook the realm. The older generation was speechless. This was the gap between them. The peerless divine king was quite tyrannical. Even the half-step almighties had to be wary of him. After all, this kind of existence's combat strength was extraordinary. It was only a matter of time before he became a supreme being. It's Qiu Ming, Qiu Ming, Qiu Ming. Some women began to scream excitedly, their eyes full of fanaticism and worship. Chapter 941. Qiu Ming was an invincible existence that only existed in legends. He was known as one of the most stunning, peerless kings of this era. He had long since stepped into the Divine King realm, and was also known as an extreme existence within the Divine King realm. Extreme kings of the younger generation were few and far between. They could be counted on one's fingers, and most of them were in a state of seclusion. Today, Qiu Ming had appeared with such an attitude. Did this mean that he was determined to obtain the mysterious seed? Qiu Ming, a child of the life forbidden zone. He has also entered the Tao Temple to cultivate and is even on good terms with the Han family and the Sky Bamboo lineage. As these status symbols were revealed, the faces of the various geniuses turned green. Any one of these statuses was extraordinary, but these status symbols were all gathered on Qiu Ming. This had to be said. He possessed too much glory and brilliance. A future almighty being. He will inevitably be one of the masters of this world. The older generation held him in high esteem and praised him endlessly. This caused some people to be unhappy. Wasn't this evaluation a bit too high? However, he, Qiu Ming, did indeed possess such qualifications. Even in this confined world, an extremely powerful combat strength surged out. His aura was boundlessly powerful, and there were dazzling marks of Tao released from between his brows. There was a blurry and mysterious ancient pagoda that seemed to carry the great Tao, and it crushed the heavens to the point of rumbling. Great Tao Pagoda imprint. Someone cried out in alarm. This was one of the Tao Temple's most powerful cultivation grounds and was known as the Great Tao Pagoda. But it was also an ancient stone pagoda born from the primal chaos pagoda. Wanting to obtain the Great Tao Pagoda's approval was extremely difficult. They weren't surprised that Qiu Ming could obtain the Great Tao Pagoda's imprint. The Great Tao Pagoda is one of the top stone pagodas born from the primal chaos pagoda. It has always been controlled by the Tao Temple. I reckon there are other disciples in the Tao Temple who have also obtained the Great Tao Pagoda's imprint. Su Yan was somewhat moved when he heard this news. It seemed that it wasn't just the stone pagoda, there was something even higher than that. However, the primal chaos pagoda still hadn't appeared, but it should be soon. Since Qiu Ming had obtained the Great Tao Pagoda's imprint, he would inevitably strive for the primal chaos pagoda in the future. However, even Qiu Ming and the others were not optimistic about this treasure that no one in history had ever been able to take away. I understand now. The Divine King can also enter the graveyard of immortals. At this moment, many people came to their senses. No wonder that old antique said that it was a blessing not to open it now. If they were to explore the immortal graveyard with Qiu Ming, that would truly be enough to make them despair. Who could compete against them? Even if Zhu Tian and the others joined forces, they still wouldn't be able to do anything to Qiu Ming. Qiu Ming was facing a supreme king, a peak divine king. F***ck. Su Yan's face darkened. Even the North Demon and the others wouldn't be able to break through to the Divine King realm within a few decades, and that was already the fastest time they could take. However, Qiu Ming had been accumulating power in the Divine King realm for so many years. Even if an All-Heavens Supreme stepped into the Divine King realm, they still wouldn't be able to compete with Qiu Ming. In short, the immortal graveyard of immortals only suppressed supreme beings. Other experts could enter. Therefore, the opening of the graveyard of immortals truly made them despair. However, the immortal graveyard of immortals had already appeared. It couldn't be opened only after a few decades. Although it was impossible to determine when it would open, it definitely wouldn't be more than 10 or 20 years. Qiu Ming was getting closer and closer to the immortal graveyard. Could it be that he was going to directly charge in and force his way through? However, that was impossible unless Chiu Ming was really tired of living. Finally, he stopped. A pair of deep eyes looked at the immortal graveyard of immortals. Moreover, he had his hands behind his back, looking majestic and imposing. Immortal Tao Seed. Chiu Ming's eyes scanned the immortal Tao Seed. His eyes were burning with passion. He secretly said in his heart, I, Chiu Ming, must obtain this. In the future, I will prove my supreme Tao. This was his spiritual will. He wanted to be the master of the world and lead the rise and fall of the world. He wasn't the only one with such thoughts. At the same time that Chiu Ming was charging in, all kinds of terrifying auras were released in this vast and boundless territory. One after another, the terrifying auras of heavenly gods began to spread. A group of dragons came out of the cage. The demonic aura spread and the surging momentum collided. There were too many young overlords who stood out. They charged on the path of the immortal graveyard. There were also those of the older generation who wanted to follow and take a look. Unfortunately, they couldn't do so halfway. After all, the suppression was too severe. Only kings of the same generation had hope of approaching the immortal graveyard. Su Yan was stunned. This was because Su Yan saw a familiar face. It was a beautiful and holy woman. She was untainted by a speck of dust. She seemed to have walked out of a snowy country. She was graceful like a fairy and wore a white dress. Her snow-white skin flowed with multicolored light as if she was bathing in holy radiance. She was holy to the extreme and couldn't be profaned. Some women felt ashamed of their inferiority when they saw her. Standing next to her, all material objects lost their luster. Only this beautiful and holy woman stood proudly. Su Yan couldn't help but sigh at how small the world was. He didn't expect to meet Yi Yun here. She had entered the Tao Temple long ago, and even had the sacred body of Tying. She was considered a disciple of the Tao Temple, and was deeply loved by the elders of the Tao Temple. They did their best to nurture her. I wonder how Bao Kai and the others are doing? Su Yan muttered in his heart. It had been so long. Logically speaking, Yi Yuan and the others should have arrived. However, Su Yan didn't hear anything about them. Even the Milky Way was fine. This made Su Yan frown. Could it be that the Milky Way was so dangerous that they couldn't leave? In other words, Bao Kai and the others had already arrived at the Chaos Ruins. It was just that they didn't go to the Chaos Channel. This made Su Yan feel very helpless. After all, he was going to seize the reincarnation fruit. If Yi Yuan and the others were here, Su Yan would have helpers by his side and wouldn't be surrounded by enemies. If he went in alone, it would be too dangerous. After all, Su Yan hadn't stepped into the heavenly god realm yet. Now, he wanted to keep a low profile. Unless there was no other choice, he wasn't going to take action. Su Yan was a fake heavenly god. On the other hand, Yi Yun was now infinitely close to the heavenly god realm. Her cultivation speed was very fast. This Tao Temple was no small matter. As a disciple of the Tao Temple, Yi Yun didn't lack cultivation resources at all. Su Yan rushed over, wanting to meet up with Yi Yun. As he approached, he didn't act rashly. This Yi Yun was secretly protected by the Tao Temple's old antique. Since she had the extreme insane physique, the Tao Temple attached great importance to her. The current Yi Yun hadn't matured yet, so it wasn't suitable for her to act alone. Miss E.C., the immortal graveyard is the #1 land of peril. It's a pity that you can't take a look. With my cultivation, I can escort you there. A young man in a golden robe walked over to her with majestic steps. This person was awe-inspiring and exuded a noble aura. One look and one could tell that he was a rare dragon among men. This was the young overlord of the sky bamboo lineage, Zhu Yongjia. He was even the descendant of Zhu Yuanqing, the grandson of a half-step almighty. In the Chaos Ruins, he was one of the people who could call the wind and summon the rain. After all, the sky bamboo lineage was a famous overlord in the Chaos Ruins. Isiyun shook her head slightly. Her black hair danced in the wind. She was a woman of few words, just like before. At this moment, she seemed to have a lot on her mind. What's wrong? Is there something on your mind, Miss Isi? Zhu Yuanqing's face was full of adoration. His pair of fiery eyes kept looking at Isiyun. Zhu Yongjia had been pursuing this icy beauty for a year or two. Even though she had the sacred body of Taiying, the sky bamboo lineage supported his pursuit of Isiyun. Seeing that Isiyun was silent, Zhu Yongjia's expression remained the same. He smiled and said, I heard that Miss Isi's hometown is very unusual. Can you tell me about it? Su Yan's face sank. Could it be that Zhu Yongjia knew about Isiyun's background? Isiyun frowned and replied indifferently, If you are interested in the Ziwei segmentum, you can go there as a guest. Zhu Yongjia just smiled and didn't say anything. He had been secretly investigating Isiyun's background. He even learned that He Xingjie and the others had gone to the back progenitor together. Could this Isiyun be related to the burial realm? Sagely battle god. Someone cried out in alarm from the distance. That was an expanse of golden holy light that rushed over. Exuberant essence blood also began to burn, blazing into the heavens. This was just like a great furnace of heaven and earth that was burning. Life essence blood flourished, surging with a type of inextinguishable might. Sagely battle god's prestige in the primal chaos ruins was extremely high. Now that he had arrived, it caused a commotion. His fame surpassed Zhu Yongjia's by quite a bit. Brother Xingtian. Zhu Yongjia's expression was also respectful. He walked over and cupped his hands in greeting. He said, Long time no see. Brother Xingtian's elegance is even greater. After refining the fruit of the way, I presume that Brother Xingtian's cultivation has reached the 6th heavenly god realm? Many people's hearts trembled. The tree of the way already belonged to someone. In the end, the Dao Palace stepped forward and distributed the excess fruit of the way to the young experts, asking them to stop fighting. As for the tree of the way, it would be auctioned off in an auction. Sagely battle god naturally obtained one. However, he had only stepped into the heavenly god realm for 1 or 2 years. Could this fruit of the god allow him to break through to the 6th heavenly god realm? Wasn't this too unbelievable? Ha ha ha! Sagely battle god laughed and said, This is nothing. If I don't enter the Divine King, I will still be a small character. I still have to learn more from senior brother Qiuming. Brother Xingtian, you're too modest. With your battle strength, entering the Divine King is only a matter of time. Zhu Yongjia smiled and said, I see that Brother Xingtian's aura is leaking out. You just came out of seclusion. Why haven't you consolidated your cultivation? The immortal graveyard isn't open yet. Hearing this, sagely battle god's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. That's not it. Back then, I suffered a great loss at the god burial mountain. I was taken advantage of by Su Yan. I heard that he came out of seclusion. I'm going to kill him. A cold killing intent spread out. The surrounding people's faces changed. Su Yan was extremely famous now. The bloody incident at the Primal Chaos Passageway was circulating in the great Dao City. They had also heard of the conflict between Sagely Battle God and Su Yan. That's great. This kid called Su Yan is too arrogant. He can't recognize reality. I'll go with you. I want to see what kind of superhuman abilities this kid called Su Yan has. Zhu Yongjia sneered. His grandfather, Zhu Yuanqing, was very unhappy with Su Yan. If he could personally teach Su Yan a lesson, Zhu Yuanqing would definitely value him more. Young Lady EC is also here. Why don't we go together? Sagely Battle God looked at EC Yun. He knew what Zhu Yongjia was thinking. However, the great moon saint physique wasn't that easy to tame. EC Yun naturally wouldn't reject. She was also anxious. She had just found out that Zhu Tian and the others had joined hands to go to the primal chaos passageway. Su Yan's eyes flashed with coldness. He originally wanted to meet Isi Yun, but he didn't expect Sagely Battle God to stand out. You want to kill me? Murderous intent surged in Su Yan's heart. He wanted to follow them and see if he could kill the Sagely Battle God. However, Su Yan's expression was extremely abnormal when he made his move. Su Yan's heart was greatly shaken. His eyes stared intently at a tall man. His hair was messy and covered his face. He gave off a cold aura. However, he seemed to be alone. It was obvious that he was going to the immortal graveyard. It's him. Su Yan's emotions were stirred. This was the young slave in the past. Because of his outburst, he had caused a huge earthquake in the primal chaos ruins. He had even alarmed the various overlords. Even the Milky Way galaxy had stopped fighting because of him. This legend had actually appeared here. He was even very close to Su Yan. Chapter 942. In this vast region, people gathered from all over. Voices boomed, and in the distance, there was an endless stream of people rushing over. They were all staring at the immortal graveyard. They all wanted to uncover the secrets of this universe's #1 danger zone. There were even proud sons of heaven that came one after another, releasing their unique radiance here, illuminating the rivers and mountains. It could be said that this was a gathering of the winds and clouds. Of course, no one was paying attention to this man with messy hair and a lonely figure. He was like a lone wolf walking through the continent, completely out of place in this noisy world. Su Yan's eyes stared at him without blinking, the blood in his body boiling. It's really him. Su Yan clenched his fist. The excitement in his heart was hard to describe. He was a legend of his generation, an existence so terrifying that it was difficult for the common people to comprehend him. He was a mysterious giant that could make even supreme beings retreat. His origins were exceedingly high, and he should even have a certain relationship with the races of the graveyard. Now that he had strangely appeared here, how could Su Yan remain calm? The tall man was very close to Su Yan. I wonder if he still recognizes me. Su Yan took a deep breath. He forced himself to calm down. At the same time, he felt strange in his heart. This was a place that even supreme beings didn't dare approach, but this mysterious man was as steady as Mount Tai, his tattered clothes fluttering in the wind. Could it be that this person was so terrifying that he could ignore the rules of the immortal graveyard? Could it be that even the #1 life forbidden zone couldn't do anything to him? Su Yan didn't think the possibility was high. The #1 life forbidden zone hid the greatest good fortune in history. It had existed for an immeasurable amount of time. If there really was someone who could ignore the immortal graveyard, then this greatest good fortune in history would have been taken away long ago. Woo woo! A cool breeze blew through the world. The tall man's long hair fluttered in the wind, revealing his weathered face. He seemed to be a middle-aged man, causing Su Yan to be slightly dazed. Su Yan quickly approached. He knew that if he could travel with this tall man, what was there to be afraid of? He could even go to the Han family's ancestral land as a guest. Very quickly, Su Yan arrived in front of him. Su Yan felt a chill in his heart. When he looked at the back of the person in front of him, Su Yan felt as if he was looking up at the vast ocean. He was so high that he could not reach him. When Su Yan approached him, there was a suffocating and indescribable pressure, causing Su Yan to almost fall to the ground. This was truly an ant facing an azure dragon. This meant that he was too powerful. If he hadn't sealed the aura in his body, who knew what kind of terrifying energy would have erupted? Big brother! Su Yan walked up to him and asked with a serious face, Big brother, do you still recognize me? From the immortal graveyard. Su Yan continued to call out, pointing out his origins. The tall man who was walking slowly came to a stop. He tilted his head slightly. His eyes, covered by messy hair, blossomed with a strange radiance. They were filled with a fluctuation that could sever one's soul, directly seeing through Su Yan's true appearance. He stood in front of Su Yan. His bronze body was as tall as a mountain. He couldn't help but emit an aura that made one tremble, making one feel reverence. Under his gaze, Su Yan felt a splitting headache. He really felt as if reincarnation had exploded, revealing a scene of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. In this ruined and bloody world, there was only one person who had existed since ancient times, overlooking the boundless world. Su Yan's primordial spirit was about to be devoured, assimilated, and destroyed. Su Yan was greatly shaken. He didn't dare to look at him. He hurriedly said, "Big brother, do you still recognize me? Where are you going? Back then, you saved me many times. I still haven't thanked you yet." The tall man was silent for a while. His eyes fell on the immortal graveyard. It seemed that he wasn't interested in the mysterious seed, but he was interested in the immortal graveyard. He wanted to barge in and directly open the immortal graveyard. Su Yan followed closely behind him. He was also anxious. How could he figure out his origins? He could even follow him. This kind of person was elusive. It was too difficult to meet him. If he could follow him, with this sea-stabilizing needle by his side, even the mighty figures would have to retreat. Su Yan could do whatever he wanted in the chaos ruins. Su Yan's brain was about to explode. In the end, he hurriedly said, "I know the whereabouts of the reincarnation fruit." Before Su Yan could finish his words, the tall man suddenly stopped. His body moved slightly and there was a great power that could collapse the sky and split the sea. It was as if an invincible overlord who had crossed the river of time had come to the world. It was extremely terrifying. In this large region, the expressions of many shocking cultivators changed. They seemed to be a little flustered. They looked around, but they were immediately confused. Just now they felt that a giant was pressing down on them, making them want to submit. But now they couldn't see anything. Could it be an illusion? Many powerful cultivators secretly thought. At the same time, they were also secretly vigilant. They felt that it was because of the immortal graveyard. They didn't dare to go deeper. They were really worried that the immortal graveyard would suddenly become chaotic. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. As expected, he was interested in the reincarnation fruit. After all, Su Yan had seen him several times. The tall man's appearance changed from time to time. Sometimes, he looked like an old man, sometimes a young man, and now a middle-aged man. He seemed to be experiencing reincarnation again and again. In short, he was too mysterious. As for the reincarnation fruit, it was a rare treasure that could allow people to reincarnate and even cultivate again. It was too expensive and could be called one of the most terrifying treasures in the world. He felt that the reincarnation fruit was suitable for him, but he didn't expect this big brother to be interested as soon as he said it. Su Yan was afraid that he wouldn't believe him, so he showed the record that Lei Zhenhe gave him. Obviously, the tall man saw the information that Su Yan showed him. His pupils shrank slightly, and then he nodded at Su Yan. Su Yan was ecstatic. He walked over and whispered, "The reincarnation fruit is about to mature. It's in a broken universe. Big brother, you're too strong. If you barge in, I'm afraid the secret realm will collapse. I'm different. I can definitely pick it." The tall man was silent and didn't say anything, but he followed Su Yan. This made Su Yan very happy. With this god beside him, he couldn't help but want to shout. Most likely, even if the ancient ancestors of the ancestral hall came, their faces would turn green. They've gone far. Su Yan thought of something at this moment. He tried to search for Yi Si Yun's traces, but they were already far away. Su Yan guessed that they had gone to the Chaos Channel. However, Yi Si Yun had a sacred status in the Tao Church. She was also secretly protected by the Tao Church's old antique. Su Yan wasn't worried that Yi Si Yun would encounter any danger. Thinking of this, Su Yan's mind became active. He was so excited that he bared his teeth. With this god beside him, He couldn't let his enemies take advantage of him. Su Yan knew that there were many experts eyeing him now. Even the top secret of the God Burial Mountain made many old monsters restless. Once his traces were leaked, there would be a huge commotion. If the tall man stood out at the crucial moment, the scene would be very exciting. Fellow cultivators, the great Tao city is about to hold an auction. Those who have nothing to do can come and participate. Some great beings were transmitting that the city of the great Tao would soon hold an auction, and even the tree of the great Tao would be put up for auction. It was said that in the auction, there would be some places to cultivate in secret realms of the universe, and even rare treasures of heaven and earth. The auction this time is held by the Tao Church. The scale is terrifying. It can be called a super auction. That's right. When the time comes, all the mighty figures will come to bid. We must go and take a look. I heard that the Tao Church has invited all the young experts of the major tribes. A few supremes will come too. It must be a rare event. Haha, this auction must be a place where the big figures of the major tribes compete. Even if the young people go, they can only watch helplessly. Even the supremes won't be able to afford the treasures. The onlookers discussed. After all, the scale of the auction was comparable to a super auction. Even mighty figures would participate. It must be a rare commerce. There would probably be some extraordinary items up for auction. Su Yan suddenly had an idea. He also wanted to experience this kind of event. He might be able to find some treasures that he wanted. Su Yan was not lacking in wealth at the moment. He was completely capable of obtaining some of the resources that he needed. The heavenly God realm pierces through the sky and controls the chaos. Stepping into this realm, one's combat power will undergo a qualitative change. One can easily control the universe's great Tao and draw a boundary. If I use my body as the Tao and step into the heavenly God realm without the help of the universe's great Tao, it will be extremely difficult. I might encounter some catastrophe. If I can find some strange items in the auction, it will be of great help to my breakthrough. This auction is worth going, Su Yan mumbled in his heart. After that, he discovered a group of old experts leaving one after another. It seemed like they were preparing to return to the great Tao city to participate in the upcoming auction. Seems like the auction is about to start. It's quite a distance from here to the great Tao city. They should be able to take the interdomain teleportation arrays in the nearby major regions. I have to set off immediately to catch up. Su Yan hurriedly asked the tall man beside him, "Big brother, the reincarnation fruits still need some time to ripen. Do you want to participate in the auction first? The secret realm where the reincarnation fruits are located is also near the great Tao city. It's on the way." Su Yan's heart pounded. He had no idea what this mysterious expert was thinking. He also didn't know how long he could stay by his side. It would be great if they could communicate. Sadly, Su Yan didn't have the qualifications to do so now. The tall man remained silent. His bronze-colored body was majestic, like a majestic mountain pressing down on Su Yan's heart. Although he appeared calm, he actually contained a kind of strength that was hard for people to imagine. Seeing that he was following him, Su Yan was relieved. It seemed like he cared a lot about the reincarnation fruit. "Great Tao City, I'm coming." Su Yan only felt carefree. With a god by his side, what was there to be afraid of? Even if it was a huge force, they would probably have to retreat when they saw him. Su Yan left the area very quickly. He wasn't sure when the immortal graveyard would open. Su Yan didn't need to waste time here. Along the way, Su Yan inquired about the direction of the great Tao city. As the largest ancient city in the Chaos Ruins, the great Tao city's reputation was too great. Although the journey was long and there was a certain amount of danger, Su Yan was fearless along the way. Along the way, Su Yan also tried to explore the world to see if he could dig out some secret realms in the universe. With this god guarding, who would dare to come looking for trouble? However, after a few days, Su Yen realized that he was thinking too much. He smiled helplessly. The Chaos Ruins have existed for too long. Although it's a place where good fortune gathers, these secret realms are probably hidden in dangerous areas. With my current ability, it's still a bit difficult for me to go through the Chaos Ruins. Heaven God Realm, wait until I enter this stage before going into the Chaos Ruins to adventure. Su Yen went through one region after another and was infinitely close to the great Tao City. He could already see the end of the horizon. There was a city entrenched between heaven and earth. It was so heavy that it was as if he had arrived at the end of the universe. Su Yan's eyes widened as he looked at the great Tao City. It was as if he was looking at the heavens. The great Tao City could also be said to be the most magnificent and vast ancient city in the universe. Now, when Su Yen saw the great Tao City, it was really as if he was looking at the heavens. It was too vast and covered an entire region. It was surrounded by an ancient aura and spewed out vast divine light, illuminating the universe. Chapter 943. The ancient city was majestic and magnificent to the extreme. The sun, moon, and stars in the sky seemed especially small in comparison to this huge city. They all revolved around the huge city, and this city seemed to be carrying the ancient star sea as it spewed out endless light. The great Tao City was colorful and filled with the aura of time. It was hard to tell the age of the building. It had existed for millions of years and had witnessed the rise and fall of the human world and the rise of the races. This city had always been standing tall, like a great Tao dragon coiling around here and spewing out endless light. Why was it called the Great Tao City? Su Yen wasn't sure, but when he got closer to the Great Tao City, he realized that this city was like a great Tao abyss. It was unimaginably thick and had exuberant life essence. Without a doubt, the Great Tao City was built on the Great Tao Dragon vein, which made Su Yen speechless. This was too shocking, and it deserved to be called the #1 city in the world. Su Yen stepped into the Great Tao City and was stunned by the scene in front of him. It didn't look like a city, but more like a world. It was huge and boundless, and it was filled with the vicissitudes of time. The aura of history here was too thick. There were many old shops that had taken root in the Great Tao City and had been passed down from one era to another. The Great Tao City forbade violence, and even the Divine King didn't dare to act rashly in the city. If he was serious, he might lose his life. This was because the Great Tao City was overseen by a powerful being that originated from the Tao Temple, who would dare to behave atrociously in their local territory. Although the Great Tao City didn't participate in the conflicts between races and was detached from the world, this showed the reason why the Tao Temple was so powerful. It didn't compete with other races, but it could occupy such shocking resources. It was enough to see the foundation of the Tao Temple. Even if a long time had passed and one era after another, the Tao Temple was still high and mighty. The Great Tao City was the #1 city in the universe, and there were almost no wars. From this, one could see the deterrence of the Tao Temple. What a great Tao City! Su Yen had already stepped into the ancient city, and what greeted him was the divine aura of the great Tao. All living beings in the universe had an illusion in the great Tao City. Even Su Yen had an illusion that he was exceptionally small. Was this an illusion? Su Yen didn't think so. He looked at the city of the great Tao from afar. Even though Su Yen was proficient in mystical arts, the city of the great Tao was as majestic as an immortal furnace of the great Tao. It released the majestic might of the great Tao and was unshakable. Even a divine king wouldn't be able to do much in the face of the majestic aura of the city of the great Tao. This was a pattern that had been nurtured over the years. Inside the city, the atmosphere was magnificent. People came and went. Most of them were local residents of the city. They all had a noble atmosphere. Without a doubt, living in Great Tao City for a long period of time could nourish one's life, nourish one's vitality. Moreover, after being baptized by the great Tao for a long period of time, it was very easy for one to enter a state of Tao comprehension. This was extremely impressive. It was said that as long as one became a disciple of the Tao Palace, one would be able to obtain permanent residency in the great Tao city. Su Yen had paid a generous entrance fee. Since he was adventuring in the primal chaos ruins, Su Yen would be staying in the great Tao city for a long time. He walked on the streets. The buildings in the city had a strong aura of time. He could sense layers of abyss-like power of the great Tao everywhere. This city had existed for a long time. Countless great beings had lived here for generations. As time passed, this place really became a land of treasures. Su Yen walked in the city. Along the way, he went to a few shops. There was a dazzling array of goods displayed in the shops. Su Yen walked around for a while and lost interest. With his current status, there were very few treasures that could catch his eye. He couldn't buy them at ordinary shops at all. Just like that, he went to a tavern with the tall and big man. The atmosphere in this tavern was extremely lively. It was an old tavern that had a legacy of tens of thousands of years. Su Yen found a seat and sat down. He then said to the waiter who served him, "Give me 2 jugs of old wine and some side dishes." "All right, please wait for a moment." Su Yan's gaze scanned the surroundings. He was secretly astonished. As expected of the primal chaos ruins, there were several auras of heavenly gods in this tavern. Most of them were great Tao realm masters of the universe. The level of cultivation here was really different from the outside world. The primal chaos ruins were a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Even if it wasn't open normally, the great Tao city was an independent universe spacetime that isolated the natural pressure of the primal chaos ruins. If one were to wander in the primal chaos ruins in the past, it would be extremely dangerous. After all, one would have to endure the natural pressure of the primal chaos ruins at all times. Although the environment here was dangerous, the number of great beings born here was extremely high. It was said that more than half of the elites of the Ancestral Hall and the other races were gathered in the primal chaos ruins. The primal chaos ruins were extremely huge. There were many domains that were connected to each other. It was extremely difficult to count how many large domains there were. There were even vast chaotic zones and dangerous forbidden areas of the universe that very few people would set foot in. The area of the primal chaos ruins was extremely difficult to measure. Because of the environment, the probability of deity realm great beings being born here was extremely high. "Have you heard about the immortal graveyard?" The cultivators in the bar were all chatting. Someone said loudly, "The number 1 death zone of the primal chaos ruins. Even powerful beings would change their expressions when they hear about it. The strongest fortunes in history are all buried there. Till now, no one has been able to take it away. I've known about it for a long time." Even Xiaoming, that peerless godly king, appeared. It's said that at that time, various young overlords appeared frequently. They walked out of their own universe secret realms and went to the immortal graveyard. The discussion of this table of guests attracted many people's attention. There were also people who sighed. Although the primal chaos ruins was a super place of fortune, over the years, the places of fortune appeared frequently. They were all split up by the various pinnacle races. Although there were still some secret regions left, it was too difficult to find them. In this era of eternal strength, the struggle of the younger generation had almost become a battle of interests between the various races. Sometimes it was even hard to determine a victor. It's said that this generation is extraordinary. I wonder who will be the number 1 in all of history. Who will be able to stand at the pinnacle and look down on the world? A drunk man said loudly, "I'm 80% sure it will be the children of the restricted areas. The others won't be able to do it." "You drank too much. Sit down." Someone quickly stood up and pulled the drunk man back. The atmosphere in the tavern was somewhat silent. Su Yen was a little surprised by this Forbidden Zone's child. His understanding of the children of the restricted areas was very limited. Wasn't Xiao Ming a child of the restricted areas? What was a restricted area? For example, the immortal graveyard. If a race occupied the immortal graveyard, it would be a terrifying matter. However, this was almost impossible. However, after a long time, many overlords of the various eras had taken down a restricted area. As time passed, the various eras of creation continued to open. These races naturally remained strong. However, no matter how strong these restricted areas were, could it be that His Highness Daozu and the others weren't ranked? I really don't know about the restricted areas. However, in recent years, just the outside worlds East Demon, West Buddha, South Emperor, North Demon are all very impressive. There's also Ancestral Halls Zhu Tian and 9 Yang Starfields Sun Dome. It's said that their fighting strength is extremely terrifying. That's right. There are many young overlords in the outside world. Not to mention the young overlords in the primal chaos ruins. Sky Bamboo's young paragon, Han family's master, Dao Palace's 3 peerless geniuses. Of course, there's no need to mention the other young overlords. More than 10 of them have touched the Divine King's domain. They are all in seclusion in their own universe's secret realms. The discussions that reverberated in this place caused Su Yen to be extremely shocked. On the surface, there were more than 10 young overlords who had touched the Divine King's domain. There were even young Divine Kings who had broken through. These primal chaos ruins were truly incredible. The young Divine King was the main attraction. Normally, the strongest person in the outside world is Ancestral Hall's Zhu Tian. It's probably the same for this generation. During their conversations, some people also mentioned the infamous Su Yen in the Chaos Ruins, which made some people admire him even more. This person had returned from the God Burial Mountain and even fought the North Demon without being at a disadvantage. This undoubtedly proved how powerful Su Yen was now. He was worthy of being called an overlord of the younger generation, a supreme master of the same generation. He could definitely be compared to the top masters of the various realms. Actually, just the dragons and phoenixes in this group were already strong enough. Could it be that they couldn't compete with the children of the restricted areas who came out of the restricted areas? What do you know? No matter how strong they are, there's a limit. The drunk man's face was filled with dissatisfaction. He shouted, "Do you know what the restricted areas are? The restricted areas where even powerful people can't enter. That's the place where the giants sleep. Who dares to go? It's just death if you go." Before he could finish speaking, a group of people with powerful auras walked over. The leader was a purple-clothed man. He scolded, "You're spouting nonsense. Throw this drunkard out." The purple-clothed man's words were loud and clear. They shook the entire tavern several times. Before the drunk man could react, he was thrown out of the tavern. The large tavern instantly fell silent. Some people recognized who these people were, but they didn't dare to stop them. Just some rumors and legends. They think they know a lot about the restricted areas. How laughable! The purple-clothed man sneered. The waters of the primal chaos ruins were very deep. If one wasn't in this circle, they wouldn't know what secrets existed. The restricted areas were so strong that it was suffocating, but they hadn't reached the point where they could control the entire universe. There were even some restricted areas that were secretly controlled by peak races. This was a top secret that no one in the outside world knew about. Su Yen fell silent. He didn't know how many restricted areas there were in the primal chaos ruins, but each of them had very few people. Yet they were very powerful. Even after so many eons had passed, they still hadn't declined. There had to be a reason for this. It was a pity that the drunkard's understanding was limited. Otherwise, he would have started arguing with them. A voice rang out, interrupting Su Yan's thoughts. "Haha, fellow cultivator Hong Kong, I heard that your Han family's master is about to reach rank 7. It seems like the Han family's young master is about to hold a big banquet." This purple-clothed man was called Hong Kong. He came from the Han family. Hearing this, he smiled and said, "You are really well informed. I don't know if there will be a banquet or not, but when my family's master reaches this stage, he will definitely invite you over as guests." Han Kang's friends were filled with joy. To be able to meet the Han family's young master was a great honor for them. Han family's young master. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. The Han family was very concerned about him. They were like a dog's skin plaster, and had already acted against him several times. Crunch! Just as Hong Kong and the others were talking and laughing, the sound of food being chewed could be heard. Hong Kong frowned. He turned his head and saw a guy with messy hair. He was using a rough posture to chew on food. He even swallowed the bones. Su Yan was stunned. Big Brother was holding a roasted golden thigh and eating it with all his might. He was really enjoying it. It was even to the extent that he gulped down the aged wine and ate heartily. He ate so boldly that it caused the customers in the tavern to look over frequently. It was the first time they'd seen someone eat like this. Rough! Hong Kong frowned and shouted, "Where did this country bumpkin come from? Can people of any status come to the great Tao City? Go and throw him out." Chapter 944. The customers in the tavern whispered among themselves. The Han family had a thunderous reputation in the Chaos Ruins. The younger generation of the Han family were all influential people. Although Hong Kong was arrogant and despotic, he had the right to be arrogant. The owner of the old tavern could only smile bitterly. He didn't dare to stop them. Although their old tavern had been passed down for tens of thousands of years in the great Tao City, and their ancestors had been glorious, the family had declined. For people like Hong Kong, they treated him like an ancestor, afraid that he would destroy the tavern if he was unhappy. "Waiter, bring me the best wine here." Su Yan laughed loudly. He picked up the wine jug on the spot and drank a few mouthfuls. A wave of hot wine rolled in his throat. When it flowed into his stomach, Su Yan only felt his blood surging. He had a biting cold aura. He felt very carefree. He had never felt so at ease and carefree before. Ever since he came to the Chaos Ruins, he had been very careful, guarding against enemies everywhere. The most important thing was to secretly prevent important people from doing anything to him. Especially at the moment when they came out of the Chaos Passage, Su Yan's heart was in his throat. But it was different now. With a god by his side, Su Yan could drink without worry. What was there to be afraid of? With a big brother by his side, who would dare to look for trouble? Su Yan's words made the owner tremble. He didn't know what to say. Now, Han Kang's two subordinates had already closed in. They looked at Su Yan and the tall man with a sinister smile. These two lackeys were very excited. They could flaunt their power again. "Kid, why aren't you serving the wine? Are you worried that I can't afford it?" Su Yan frowned. He had a huge amount of wealth. Although he knew that the expenses in the old tavern were not low, even if it was wine that had been brewed for tens of thousands of years, Su Yan could still drink and throw away a bowl. Hee, with that little money you have for wine, you'd better save it for recovery." Han Kang's two lackeys closed in. One of them smiled sinisterly, raised his hand, and rushed toward the tall man who was eating heartily. He wanted to send him flying first. What a killjoy! Get lost! Su Yan's eyes widened in anger, and a cold light flashed from the bottom of his eyes. His words were like the beating of a divine drum, exploding in the eardrums of Han Kang's hired thug. It was really like thunder, and the two of them froze like statues. Although fighting was prohibited in the great Tao City, there were certain limitations. Usually, no one would interfere in such fights. As long as no one died or fought on the streets, it was fine. "What are you talking about?" Han Kang's face changed in anger. He suddenly stood up, pointed at Su Yan and scolded angrily, "How dare you? Beat him! You're disturbing my big brother's meal. You guys are too unruly. Slap them." Su Yan took a big gulp of wine and exhaled a breath that reeked of alcohol. The words that came out of his mouth made the two stiff bodyguards unable to control their palms. They began to slap their faces one after another. Pa pa pa. One after another, the crisp sound of face slapping exploded in the tavern. The onlookers were dumbfounded. What was going on? Why were these two hired thugs so obedient and slapping their own faces? They were Han Kang's subordinates. Wasn't this the same as slapping Han Kang's face? An old master immediately said in a low voice, "Han Kang has met a tough opponent. This person's primordial spirit is superb. He directly controlled the divine thoughts of his subordinate. His cultivation realm is extremely high. At the very least, he is a top enlightened master." Some people in the tavern were shocked. No matter where they were, enlightened masters at the peak of the domain realm were extraordinary masters. After all, they could touch the domain of the Divine King at any time. But this young man was an enlightened master? "You bastard!" Han Kang exploded in anger. He stood up abruptly. His face and neck were red. He pointed at Su Yen and roared in a low voice, "I, Han Kang, from the Han family, have never been humiliated like this. I think you are tired of living. If you have the guts, tell me your name." Moreover, Han Ji and his group of people came with an imposing manner. They were all furious. His own subordinates slapped his own face. This was indeed embarrassing. If word got out, Han Kang would not be able to stay in his circle anymore. "Tell me my name?" Su Yen glanced at Han Kang and sneered, "I am afraid that I will scare you to the point of peeing your pants." The tavern was in an uproar. Some people who were watching the show were agitated. Did they really hit the nail on the head? Su Yan's confidence was too strong. If word got out, would Han Kang be scared to the point of peeing his pants? Han Kang's friends suddenly lost their confidence. They did not have a deep friendship with Han Kang. At this moment, they felt that Su Yan's background was very powerful. They did not want to get involved in this mess. After all, this was the Great Path City. There were many people with powerful backgrounds. "I, Han Kang, am not a coward." Han Kang could not back down at all. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He shouted at Su Yen, "If you have the ability, tell me your name. Do you think you are Su Yen? In the Chaos Ruins, there is no one that I am afraid of." After all, the Han family was a top clan. Han Kang was full of confidence. However, at this time, Han Kang felt a trace of fear in his heart. He felt that Su Yan's confidence was too great. Perhaps he really had an extraordinary background. "How do you know that my name is Su Yen?" Su Yen smiled and said to Han Kang word by word, "That's right. I am Su Yen." The noisy tavern was instantly silent. Even the old tavern owner was dumbfounded. He was tongue-tied and did not know what to say. Many people's heads were buzzing. If they did not hear wrongly, this person said that his name was Su Yen? The madman Su, who was chased by all the top clans, who was threatened to be killed by the North Demon, and who was even targeted by all the old antique. But now, someone said that he was Su Yen. This madman is really crazy. He is too crazy. Many people's faces twitched. They really thought that this person was crazy. They did not believe that this person was Su Yen just because of a sentence. Many people thought that this person was crazy. He was really not afraid of death. Did he not know how many experts from the Ancestral Hall were gathered in the city of the Great Tao? The atmosphere in the tavern was very high. Some old experts were also suspicious. Who was this person? Why did he say that he was Su Yen? Did he want to disgust Han Kang, or did he have other motives? After all, the Han family suffered heavy losses because of Su Yen. They lost the Sun Moon River and Mountain painting and the Great Tao painting. Moreover, a young genius died at the hands of Su Yen. There was even a rank 7 expert. In short, the Han family hated Su Yen. Han Kang was even more furious. He felt that Su Yen was playing with him. "You are courting death." He lost control and roared. He rushed up and wanted to cut Su Yen into pieces. Su Yan's eyes were cold. Hong Kong attacked first. If Su Yen counterattacked and killed him, the rules of the City of the Great Tao would not punish him. In short, he did not care about the Han family. Even if the patriarch of the Han family came, he would probably have to lower his head in front of his big brother. Su Yen wanted to use the power of the tall man to intimidate the big clans. At the same time, he could also warn the clans of the Ancestral Hall that the burial region also had a stabilizing force. It was not just the old leader. Humph! Suddenly, a deep and cold snort exploded. The sound was deafening. The cultivators in the tavern saw black and their blood boiled. Hong Kong staggered and almost fell to the ground. He instantly woke up from his anger. His face changed. The deep snort almost caused him to suffer internal injuries. Su Yen frowned as he scanned the upper floor of the old tavern. A terrifying aura was faintly discernible in that private room. Su Yen even discovered that a pair of eyes were staring at him, revealing an iron-blooded aura, as if it had just drunk the blood of 10,000 spirits to its heart's content. This was definitely a decisive person. He was currently drinking upstairs. "What are you shouting for? You are disturbing me." "Cram!" The person in the room shouted coldly. His voice was filled with energy, causing the blood in many people to go into chaos. Some couldn't control it and were about to suffer internal injuries. Han Kang's face was so vicious that it almost twisted. He pointed at the person in the room and scolded, "Who do you think you are? Tell me to scram. My Han family. Do you think the people of the Han family are so easy to bully? You even brought up the Han family. You think you are worthy? It would be better if a master came." The door of the room was pushed open and blood light shone out. There was a shadow inside. It was like the divine king standing on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. He didn't even look at Hong Kong and scolded, "If you don't scram, you will suffer the consequences." Actually, before he finished speaking, Hong Kong saw this person and was so scared that he ran away. Iron Blood King! The entire place was in an uproar. The older generation exclaimed. This was a renowned expert in the primal chaos ruins. He was even more renowned than the sagely battle god. His reputation as the Iron Blood King had been earned through killing. It was even rumored that the Iron Blood King was close to becoming a god king. Iron Blood King had a personality. He wasn't restricted and was used to being free. When the Tao Temple invited him, he rejected it. He wore a blood-red robe and reeked of blood. There were many beauties in the room. Iron Blood King hugged them, which made some people jealous. Many of these beauties were noble ladies of the Great Path City. There were also pearls of some families. However, the Iron Blood King had women on his left and right, and his temperament was extremely heroic. When he saw Hong Kong running away, he laughed loudly and called out to Su Yen, "How delightful! Brother, come upstairs and have a drink? Today I will pay for all your drinks." The Iron Blood King's words had a sense of heaviness to them. At the same time, it also demonstrated his spiritual will. This person was indeed extremely frightening. His combat ability was superb. The divine power of the Great Path in his body was boiling uncontrollably. This person was truly infinitely close to becoming a divine king. This Iron Blood King should be one of the people who were preparing to step into the divine king. "Thank you, brother." Su Yen raised his cup and replied, "I still need to drink with my brother. Iron Blood King, you have so many beauties. Haha, you don't need me." Everyone around was shocked. Who was this guy? He even rejected Iron Blood King. After all, many disciples of noble families wanted to get close to Iron Blood King. But he directly rejected Iron Blood King's invitation. Iron Blood King looked at the tall man who was eating meat and was slightly moved. He couldn't see through him at all. If he couldn't see through him, he was either a mortal or an unimaginable expert. "Very well." Iron Blood King nodded and smiled. "I see that your combat ability is not weak. May I know your name?" "My name is Su Yen, and my name is Su Yen." He sat down and spoke, causing the entire tavern to fall into a deathly silence once again. Chapter 945. The Iron Blood King's expression was a little stiff. After all, he was an influential figure of the younger generation in the Chaos Ruins. If he made a friend at the same time, even someone like Chiu Ming would not hide it. After all, the Iron Blood King had grown to the point where he could step into the Divine King's realm at any time. His accumulation was terrifying. Just a slight fluctuation of his blood essence was like a boundless sea of blood pressing down on this place, causing all the cultivators in the old tavern to tremble in fear. But this guy actually said that he was Su Yan? The Iron Blood King did not believe that this person was Su Yan. He had heard a lot about Su Yan. It was said that some old monsters had their eyes on him. Even if Su Yan had some guts, he would not dare to show off in the great Dao City. But he actually said that he was Su Yan? Was this guy really not afraid of death? Then please do as you wish, Brother Su. The Iron Blood King shook his head slightly. He did not say anything more. Closing the door and enjoying himself was the way of the king. The atmosphere in the old tavern was a little strange. Some people could not help but look at the young man drinking calmly and guess who he was in their hearts. No one imagined that he was Su Yan. They felt that this guy was either crazy or had a certain level of confidence. Moreover, some people in this world wanted to become famous, so they would always use some unorthodox method. On the contrary, Su Yan smiled bitterly in his heart. He thought that he could attract some powerhouses from the Han family. With the mysterious man's power, he would be able to set off a storm in the great Dao City and intimidate all the major groups in one fell swoop. After all, Su Yan did not know when the mysterious man would leave or where he would go next. If there was an accident, he would definitely leave. Since Su Yan wanted to use the tiger's skin as a coat and intimidate all the races in the universe, he had to hurry. If he missed this opportunity, he might not have another chance like this. Young man. At this moment, the owner of the old tavern came. He squeezed out a smile on his old face and said obsequiously, "We are a small place. Your presence brings light to our humble tavern. Today your drinks are all on me. Also, these bottles of good wine are for you." Su Yan's face darkened. Was he chasing him away? The shopkeeper was also afraid of getting into trouble, so he treated Su Yan like a plague. He didn't even want the money for the drinks. In fact, as long as Su Yan left now, he would willingly take out a sum of money. Forget about the wine. Su Yan had no choice but to throw down some chaos precious materials and tell the tall man that they should go to another place. The big brother touched his greasy mouth, as if he had not had enough, and left the old tavern with Su Yan. After they left, the oppressive atmosphere in the tavern immediately dissipated. "Is he really Su Yan?" someone stammered. "That madman Su who went on a killing spree in the Chaos Channel and even annihilated the 3 chaotic divine mountains was him?" "Nonsense, you believe his words?" Someone shook his head and said, "Su Yan comes from the burial realm. He is a rising star of a ruined race. He doesn't dare to show off in public. He is definitely a fake. I think this person has some background and is not afraid of trouble." That should be the case. Among the young overlords from the outside world, Su Yan is famous, but he is in big trouble. I'm afraid he won't be able to survive for long in the Chaos Ruins. The atmosphere in the old tavern gradually became lively. However, in less than an hour, a terrifying pressure filled the entire tavern. This tavern with tens of thousands of years of history was trembling. The various Dao marks inscribed on the building showed signs of collapsing. "Senior, please have mercy." The old shopkeeper was frightened. He knelt down and begged for mercy. He almost cried out. Once the defensive array marks in the tavern were destroyed, the loss would be unbearable. All the cultivators gathered in the tavern were trembling. The aura of the newcomers was too strong. It was like a group of wild beasts charging over. Moreover, the aura they released suppressed the entire tavern, preventing any cultivators from leaving. "That Su Yan fellow, come out here!" Hong Kong rushed in. His expression was proud and arrogant. It didn't matter if he was real or fake. If he dared to impersonate Su Yen, the Han family would not let him off so easily. The cultivators in the tavern didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. The Han family had sent 3 divine kings. They were faintly discernible in the air, causing the entire tavern to shake uncontrollably. If it weren't for the cultivators suppressing their auras, the tavern would have already exploded. No one would have thought that the Han family would send 3 divine kings. The one leading them was even the old grandmaster of the Han family. There was an uncontrollable killing intent being released from his body. It was bone-chilling. Just the 2 words Su Yen were enough to trigger his nerve. Moreover, Hong Kong had provided him with traces of Su Yen. However, there was no trace of Su Yan's aura in the tavern. This made the face of the old grandmaster of the Han family extremely gloomy. The anger in his body burned even brighter. There was also a kind of sullenness and fury. That little bastard Su Yen. Ever since he flattened the 3rd chaotic divine mountain, he disappeared without a trace. A Han family expert shouted angrily. Hong Kong, you said that Su Yen is here? Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Our clan's experts have been calculating his whereabouts, but there's no trace of Su Yen. He must have a protective treasure on him that's enough to confuse the heavens. It's very likely that it's a treasure he obtained on the God Burial Mountain. It's this treasure that's deceiving our clan's search. Even if he really has a treasure protecting him, I don't believe that Su Yen would dare to show himself in the Great Path City. 2 divine kings spoke one after another. They doubted the information provided by Hong Kong. With Han Kang's cultivation, he couldn't see through Su Yan's background at all. It should be true. Hong Kong braced himself and said, "Humph." The old grandmaster of the Han family's face darkened. He glared at Hong Kong and didn't believe his nonsense. He also questioned the cultivators in the tavern. He was very surprised. Was there really someone who called himself Su Yen? Who didn't want to live anymore? I think it's most likely not Su Yen. No matter how bold this kid is, he wouldn't dare to come to the Great Path City to his death and even announce his name. The old grandmaster of the Han family had a hunched back. The old grandmaster of this generation had a terrifying aura. His tone was unusually cold as he said, "He can't run away. No matter how big the chaotic ruins are, there's still a limit. I'll capture him personally and let him know what it means to be a grandmaster of occult arts." The oppressive aura in the old tavern dissipated like the tide. The people inside were all panting heavily, and their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Even in the city of the Great Tao, where many strong cultivators gathered, the 3 great divine kings were not common. The owner of the tavern smiled bitterly. After their ruckus, the number of customers had decreased significantly. However, something even more despairing was yet to come. All in all, the reputation of this old tavern was really great today. The aura of a big shot was constantly rippling, causing the cultivators on the entire street to panic. They had goosebumps all over their bodies. Aren't they going to let us live peacefully? It's said that Su Yen appeared on this street. This guy is too bold. He dares to swagger through the streets of the Great Path City. Is he courting death? There was a lot of discussion on this street. There were constantly abnormal and frightening auras being released here frequently, one after another. It was simply endless. Since the Han family, a total of 6 groups of people had arrived at the old tavern one after another. Among them, there were also old antiques who were hiding their auras. In short, in this old tavern, elites from various clans had gathered. The business of the tavern had improved greatly, which was rare. The owner didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because of one Su Yen, more than 10 groups of people had come to inquire about Su Yen. Su Yen, the Iron Blood King, had been drinking for a day and a night. He was a little drunk. In this luxuriously decorated private room, jade bodies were laid out horizontally. It was extremely erotic. The Iron Blood King's upper body was bare, revealing his strong muscles. He drank the wine in his cup and said, "Interesting. His reputation is really great. To be able to avoid the investigation of so many experts, this expert called Su Yen is naturally not weak. He is much stronger than those trash who only have an undeserved reputation. I really want to get to know Su Yen." From the beginning of this show until now, the Iron Blood King had been paying attention. Just a person with an unknown identity had attracted so many terrifying experts to the old tavern. Moreover, there were old monsters who had been hiding in the dark coming to investigate. This made the Iron Blood King speechless. Just how much trouble was this guy in? However, since he was still alive, it was enough to prove one thing. Su Yen was strong enough. He was truly an all-powerful young overlord in the Chaos Channel. Iron Blood King. A drunk beauty hugged his neck. Her charming eyes were like silk as she smiled charmingly and said, "Although Su Yen is a great character, he was born in the wrong clan. In the future, he will be submerged in the flood of history. In this great era, the dignified Iron Blood King should draw closer to the overlords. In the future, get lost." A cold light flashed in the depths of the Iron Blood King's eyes. He was full of an overlord's aura. How could he still be drunk? He was a living Iron Blood war god. With a cold shout, he shook this naked beauty until she fainted. He sneered and said, "Since ancient times, there has never been an overlord power. There are only powerful experts. I, the Iron Blood King, will be able to dominate the world in the future." The Iron Blood King's expression was cold. How could he not know that many of these beauties had ulterior motives? They wanted to rope him into their clans. These beauties were nothing more than sacrifices for their clans. He had also heard some speculations about the future. It was said that this era was very extraordinary. The appearance of the immortal graveyard also indicated that the world might welcome a great change in the future. Currently, all the major factions were trying to rope in geniuses from all walks of life. He even heard that even the Overlord clans wanted to rope in a king who would be invincible in the future. Who would be invincible in the future? To rule the ups and downs of the world and become the king of the universe, no one could predict the future. Some people said that it would be people like Qiuming, but why can't I, the Iron Blood King, do it? If I don't take the risk, who knows what the future will be like? The Iron Blood King left the old tavern in large strides with a shocking fighting spirit. Meanwhile, Su Yen brought the tall man to eat and drink. He found a large restaurant and rented a private room. Then, he directly ordered carts of 10,000-year-old wine to be transported inside. The owner of this restaurant was stunned. He gathered the most outstanding beauties in the restaurant to serve them. Even though the ones who were pouring wine for them were all beauties of the great Tao realm, they were still given quite a fright. This was wine that had been aged for 10,000 years, yet they were drinking jar after jar. Even if they were heavenly deities, they would most likely be drunk. However, they drank for 3 days and 3 nights, including all kinds of exotic delicacies. They were all delicacies cooked by primordial mutants. They had eaten more than 10,000 delicacies in the restaurant, and they still weren't satisfied? For 3 days and 3 nights, all the fine wine stored in the restaurant was drunk by Su Yen and the others. "Big brother, is it enough?" Su Yen asked drunkenly. The tall man with messy hair hesitated for a moment and reluctantly nodded. Clearly, it wasn't enough. The beauties in the private room were so frightened that their faces changed. What was the background of this old expert who had been eating heartily? Wasn't his performance too calm? After all, he had eaten more than half of the food and drank more than half of the fine wine. Even the Divine King found it difficult to endure. "Haha, if it's not enough, let's find a place to drink for a few more days and nights. Big brother, let's go." Su Yen suddenly stood up. At the moment his self-sealed body was burning with a rumble, exuberant blood essence surged. He was really like an immortal divine furnace. Just the fluctuations of the blood essence that leaked out were enough to cause the entire restaurant to tremble. A top-notch heavenly god? The owner of the restaurant was given a great shock. It was as if he had seen a young overlord awakening from his slumber and refining the essence of the food and fine wine sealed in his body, almost crossing over to the ninth heaven of the divine spirit realm. Boom! All of a sudden, it was as if the vast world had been flipped over. The tall man who had been silent suddenly raised his bronze hand and slapped toward Su Yan's glabella. Su Yan was overjoyed. Big Brother was imparting a technique after eating and drinking to his heart's content. This was a kind of vastness, even accompanied by a majestic aura that had transcended time, and it surged towards Su Yan's glabella. Big Brother was imparting to Su Yan. Everyone, guess what kind of ultimate technique Big Brother will impart to Su Yan. In addition, Qing Tian is working hard to save up chapters and strive to release a wave of chapters as soon as possible. Chapter 946. Su Yan's emotions surged. This kind of aura was rather ancient and mysterious. He really suspected that this mysterious man was a prehistoric expert who had lived for a long time and experienced reincarnation after reincarnation, yet he could still exist in this world. The prehistoric Big Brother erupted. He raised his bronze hand and faintly evolved a blurry universe as he rushed towards Su Yan's glabella. At this moment, Su Yan's primordial spirit was on the verge of collapse. It was extremely difficult for him to withstand the energy fluctuations from the prehistoric Big Brother. This ancient power was accompanied by profound laws and order, making it extremely difficult for Su Yan's primordial spirit to digest in a short period of time. Su Yan had a splitting headache. He forcefully endured the pain and his heart was filled with anticipation. With the strength of the prehistoric Big Brother, even some small secret techniques were incredible divine abilities for Su Yan. This boundless and vast energy only rampaged for a moment before it began to fuse with Su Yan's primordial spirit. This divine ability was directly imprinted in his memory, never to be forgotten. Without a doubt, the prehistoric Big Brother's method of imparting was extremely brilliant. He would not let Su Yan's primordial spirit suffer any damage. At this moment, Su Yan had already caught hold of it. That energy formed a human-shaped Tao diagram. It emitted a grand aura and was imprinted in Su Yan's primordial spirit. Buzz! For a moment, Su Yan's frontal bone was translucent and radiated divine light. This Tao diagram seemed to be constructed from mountains and rivers. It was filled with a kind of energy that could suppress heaven and earth. Su Yan's frontal bone revealed unique Tao marks, appearing mysterious and unfathomable. However, the energy fluctuations from his frontal bone were heavy, causing the group of beauties in the private room to breathe heavily. They all staggered and almost fell to the ground. "Get out, quickly get out. Don't disturb the esteemed guest's cultivation," the owner of the restaurant hurriedly said to the surrounding ladies. He could see that this young man was receiving the inheritance. The dozen or so maids retreated one after another. The owner also conveniently closed the door of the private room. He stood outside the private room and heaved a sigh of relief. However, a smile also appeared on his fat face. After all, Su Yan's group had been eating for 3 days and 3 nights. To their restaurant, this was an astonishing amount of income. They had drunk all of the fine wine that had been stored in the restaurant for thousands of years. The fat shopkeeper wasn't afraid that Su Yan would go back on his word. Such an astonishing young expert wouldn't go so far as to go back on his word. The atmosphere in the room returned to normal. Su Yan sat down on the spot. He focused his attention and studied a diagram of the great Tao that was imprinted in his primordial spirit. This diagram of the great Tao was filled with thick and heavy power. It was as if the energy essence of the mountains and rivers had gathered together to form a special Tao diagram. As Su Yan looked at the great Tao diagram, it was as if he could see millions upon millions of territories rising up and down, rumbling and rumbling. It was an extremely terrifying embodiment. This was a type of shocking great divine ability that encompassed the vast rivers and mountains. Boundless energy sources were gathered at a single source, as if an extremely powerful creature was being nurtured. What kind of secret technique is this? Su Yan's expression changed and then turned pale. The Tao technique that the prehistoric Big Brother had imparted to him had exceeded his expectations. He had thought that it was a divine ability secret technique, but from the looks of it, it wasn't. This was an extremely different kind of secret technique. Su Yan was proficient in strange secret technique. The secret technique that the prehistoric Big Brother had imparted to Su Yan was a special secret technique that gathered the power of the mountains and rivers. It was equivalent to encompassing the power of heaven and earth. This secret technique would become stronger as one's cultivation increased. With Su Yan in control of the topography chapter, he could definitely bring this secret technique to an extremely profound realm ahead of time. Body nurturing technique? Su Yan was surprised. He saw the name of the secret technique. It was a very ordinary name. It was called the body nurturing technique. He sank into silence and tried to figure out the true meaning. His expression became more and more pleasantly surprised. This secret technique was simple and direct. It gathered the power of the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth, including the source of famous mountains and rivers, and nourished one's body. This secret technique was like a life-nurturing technique. Su Yan felt that this secret technique was very valuable because it was stealing the essence of the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth to nourish one's body and strengthen one's blood essence. The reason why it was valuable was because it was a unique technique that gathered the power of the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth. It was equivalent to stealing the source of the earth. This was very similar to the strange secret technique. If I had grasped the body nurturing technique before, wouldn't I be able to include the source of the universe's mystic realm in the chaos channel and steal the source's power? The more Su Yan thought about it, the more pleasantly surprised he became. When a person's cultivation entered the realm of the gods, they had to fuse with the source's power. But the body nurturing technique, an ordinary secret technique, had a tyrannical nature. It could steal the source's power of the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth to nourish one's body. This was a bit heaven-defying. Su Yan had never heard of such a mysterious technique in the world. 1. Su Yan's body glowed. His body seemed to have transformed into the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth. In the midst of awakening, his potential was unleashed to the extreme. When he breathed, every drop of blood in his body breathed along with it. His body was steaming with all kinds of terrifying light beams. This was the same as the great devouring technique. With every breath he took, he could steal away the energy that drifted between heaven and earth. The entire room darkened. However, Su Yan had cultivated to such a degree that the body nurturing technique wasn't very useful to him. After all, his transformation at God Burial Mountain was too shocking. But since the prehistoric Big Brother had passed down this secret technique to him, there had to be a reason for it. As Su Yan continued to experiment, his expression finally changed. This was because the swallowed energy had always been hidden within Su Yan's body, never leaking out. No matter how strong a person was, there would still be limitations. But now, with the help of the body nurturing technique, he could store a limitless amount of the world's power and gather it within his body. This caused Su Yan's face to turn pale. This was a bit abnormal. The more energy he stored, the more it would shock the world once it erupted. I understand. The body nurturing technique can not only nurture my body, but it can also compare my body to the mountains and rivers of the universe. It can infinitely expand and strengthen. I really have no idea how many sources of energy it can contain. As Su Yan thought of this, the entire room shook. The Big Brother's finger tapped on the table like a bolt from the blue, causing Su Yan to awaken from his thoughts. Su Yan had a blank expression. He carefully comprehended the wondrous sounds of the great Tao that the Big Brother's finger tapped. Soon, He looked at the prehistoric Big Brother and said, "Big Brother, do you want me to store up energy so that it can erupt at the moment I reach heavenly divinity?" When Su Yen saw the prehistoric Big Brother nod, he was shocked. The prehistoric Big Brother had seen through his future path. With the mortal body as the Tao, he had to make his body terrifying enough in order to transform it into a universe of its own. And the body nurturing technique could store the essence of the mountains and rivers of the universe for him to use. When he reached heavenly divinity, it would help Su Yen. He wants me to seal my body and store energy to the extreme before crossing realms. It seems like it's not that easy to cultivate to the heavenly divinity realm. But since Big Brother has nodded, this means that this path is feasible. Su Yen had great confidence in his future cultivation. Any path that the prehistoric Big Brother had chosen would definitely be correct. He studied the body nurturing technique seriously and used the Chi Men's secret technique to verify it. Soon, he grasped the essence of this secret technique. His aura was gradually changing. He was sealing his body and entering the body nurturing technique. At this critical moment, he could reverse it and help Su Yen reach heavenly divinity and open up a path to the heavens. It seems like the heavenly divinity realm is very important. Otherwise, Big Brother wouldn't have given me pointers. Su Yen was excited. The body nurturing technique's rules and order were constantly circulating in his body. Su Yan's aura was decreasing in a straight line. The powerful source of life was returning to nothingness. When Su Yen felt that he had really disappeared from the world and merged into one with the universe, just like that, a pair of withered eyes suddenly exploded. Boom! The prehistoric Big Brother's eyes instantly became sharp to the extreme. They were so bright that they could pierce through one's soul. Su Yen felt a headache coming on. He felt as if his body was being pierced and torn apart. His eyes were wide open. It was as if two universes had flown out from his black pupils. In the blink of an eye, the great Tao split apart and the universe trembled. The prehistoric Big Brother stared at Su Yen. There was a rare look of shock in his eyes. Su Yen used the body nurturing technique to seal the treasures of his physical body and stored himself in a special world. But just as Su Yen was about to complete, the prehistoric Big Brother directly sensed that within Su Yan's body there was a ball of white mist. It floated erratically within Su Yan's blurry body. It was divine and strange. This white mist didn't seem to belong to Su Yen, but it was inseparable from Su Yen. It was a ball of white mist that interweaved within AI Su Yan's body, causing the expression of the prehistoric Big Brother to change. Su Yen trembled. He felt as if the universe had collapsed and the universe had changed. Time and space had begun to reverse. It was as if he had jumped out of the universe with the prehistoric Big Brother and roamed eternity, observing the past, present, and future. "Big Brother, what are you doing?" Su Yen exclaimed. He really felt as if his soul had left his body and was roaming a mysterious space-time. It was as if he had left the world he lived in and appeared in an indescribable river of time and space. The power of time was reversed as a supreme universe pressure descended. But this time, it was insignificant to the prehistoric Big Brother. He let out a loud roar in the mysterious space-time. Everything collapsed and the boundless myriad tribulations exploded. He blasted open a great Tao with a peerless aura. Bringing Su Yen with him, he seemed to be trying to trace his past and find out what he had experienced. Is he reversing the river of time? Su Yan's heart trembled. Did the prehistoric Big Brother see something in him? Was it because of his background? In any case, the prehistoric Big Brother wouldn't harm Su Yen. However, reversing the river of time wasn't easy. The boundless river of time rumbled as the power that originated from the prehistoric era gathered. It was as if billions of universe mountains began to suppress this place. Roar in the face of such a vast suppression, his method was simple and domineering. He let out another loud roar and opened a new era. The chaos collapsed and the power of time was pushed by him. From this moment onwards, the prehistoric Big Brother turned into a supreme expert. He was wild to the extreme. He reversed the flow of time. Wherever he passed, the sun and moon were destroyed and the sea of stars were annihilated. There were huge suns exploding one after another, and the stars in the sky were shattered. Everything was trembling under his feet. However, he seemed to have pierced through an extremely distant time. The universe's great calamity became more and more vast and dense. Billions of universe lightning suppressed down and countless thunderbolts roared continuously. Every bolt could obliterate the Divine King. How terrifying! Su Yan's hair stood on end. He seemed to have witnessed the destruction of the universe, the collapse of the myriad Daos, and the world was heading towards the end of the world. Moreover, everything here was blurry and covered by a layer of mysterious light of time. Open for me! The prehistoric Big Brother roared and released the most invincible power that shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This was a supreme Devil King erupting with wild combat power that blasted out in all directions. The universe rumbled. His majestic power shattered the fog and revealed some of the truth. There were giant coffins that covered the sky and mountains of corpses and seas of blood. However, the source seemed to be a vast sacred Pure Land. It was blurry to the point of being unreal and full of power that was difficult to trace.